Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third day of our PAX East special of Super Mega Crash Brothers Turbo. I'm your host, Stephen White, and with me, as always, is Todd Stark.
Why you say my name now? Why can't I say my own name?
Because I'm introducing you.
Hello, everybody.
That's what I've always done.
You always say, with me as always,
Todd
and I
Stark.
say me.
No, you say that at the end.
I'm going to go back and listen.
Just call him Combative Todd.
Every time. Every time. And as you can tell, we also have returning guest Wicked Beth.
What
Last
up?
day ever she's going to be on here.
Not ever.
I'm just kidding. I'm
I'm
playing.
going to replace you.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. He tried. He tried for 3 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'm sorry. I'm off by one. Okay?
And other returning guest Laceya Finley.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me this weekend.
Yes.
It's been awesome.
They've been wonderful in helping us really try to get all the games we could
Oh, my God.
out of
yes.
PAX East because there've
2
been
people is not enough.
there's way too many games. I want to actually touch on this later, but I'll get to it later. There's so many games, so many booths, so many people. It was hard to get everything that we wanted to because it was insane.
It's
Even
a lot.
even on today, which was the Sunday show, which was supposed to be the slow day. The moment you walk in, there was
Not very
tons
slow.
of people.
It was
Not
the
very
busiest
slow
day,
at
I feel
all.
like.
Really?
I feel like it was busier than yesterday.
I think so, too. I agree. I felt like it was busier
I think you
today
guys
than
are
yesterday.
crazy. I
No.
felt like I got into stuff so much faster today. Like,
No.
it was still busy, but I don't think it was nearly Friday or Saturday.
I walked around everywhere and I will agree. I got into more things today, but like the lanes were so clogged up. Like walking to things today. Like I think the tournaments, like the tabletop tournaments, really hit big yesterday,
Probably.
and everybody was on that side because I didn't even recognize that side the day before. It was like a damn desert over there. Nobody was there. One
Yeah.
cactus. But like walking across the bridge yesterday, I was like, where in the hell did that come from? So many people over there.
I do feel like some things got moved, but maybe I'm wrong.
You came in from a different door, I promise.
No, I mean,
I do.
like
I
we
think
all
some
said that.
things did get
No.
moved, though.
Death Garden
yeah.
seemed like it was on the opposite side than
Death
where
Garden
it
was on the same side the
Was
whole
it really?
entire time.
Yeah.
Because when I found it, there were a bunch of games near it that I was like, I don't remember these being here.
I
And I
think the
even
smaller
took
booths-
Lacey around there and was like, I'm pretty sure we didn't look at these before, so let's go take a look at them because
Yeah.
I did not look familiar.
I'd never seen the mini indie booth until today. There was so many good games over there.
That's true, yeah. Like, a lot
I
of
did
those that were
not-
hidden
that was
off
there
to the
the whole
side.
time.
We've been there, 3 full days, and, like, even today I was like, man,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all of these, how did we miss these? I felt like we had the whole floor memorized, but...
Yeah. And when they closed down, they walk across the bridge. I said, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Shit.
So it was definitely a very hectic day. So let's get started on what we saw. Beth, give us a start. What was a game that you first started with, or that you want to touch on first?
Go on and
The
touch
first,
it.
I think, the first game that I played today, which I think most of us played, was the Super Daryl Deluxe,
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
Personally, I wouldn't have actually, played that game on my own time if it wasn't already demoed, and I actually really enjoyed it a lot.
Now,
It was
what format did you play it on?
the
PS4.
PlayStation 4. Yep.
Did you also play it on the PS4?
I want to say no, because I think I had the Xbox controller.
You played it
You
on
did.
PC, didn't you?
So it might have been the PC.
I remember because I looked over and you're like, I'm not used to this.
You're right. Because I kept trying to back out of a menu screen, and I kept hitting what I thought would be circle, and I finally tapped the guy. I'm like, I don't know this controller. How do I get out of the menu screen now? And he's like, but yeah, no. That was a great game. Fantastic game. They were
Yeah.
one of the devs that I wanted to meet when I was looking over some stuff, because that game looked like so much fun.
Now, when I was playing it, I played it on the Switch, and I had kind of similar trouble where it was trying to figure out that the buttons were what they were, because when I see an X button now, especially when I was playing on an Xbox, X button is down below, not
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
here or wherever they've got it on the Xbox. So it was
X is where
messing
square
me up
is.
when it would say press X and I'm pressing down. So I don't know. Yeah, it kind of threw me off. Now, what specifically did you like about it? Both of you.
Well, actually, I loved how goofy he looked.
He ran.
I really did. Before I even knew about his running style, I just love the look of him. He looked like a huge dork, and I was like, I just love this.
You kind of had a butt
Very
head.
70s.
Yeah,
vibe,
very
Like a
70s.
mullet and a headband and the bell bottoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. I did like the gameplay. Didn't seem too complicated. I was having a good time. I was progressing quickly. And I like the graphics. So I found a lot of very interesting art styles around this time around, you know? And I like that. I like the different styles.
Very tongue-in-cheek humor. Like they named the character after themselves. So they basically put themselves in their very first video game, you know.
The guy said he tried to put jig in there every other sentence.
Yeah,
He's like, as much as
what
possible.
was it the penguin was the guy that was stealing your girl or whatever, and it was very 70s. She's in this room chained up to a chair, and you're coming to save the day with your banana boomerang, and you got lightning that you can shoot for
You
whatever
notice
reason.
that all of a sudden he would have a suit and hat on when he would do one move?
Yes,
Yes.
just a blip though.
Yeah, I thought I was like, am I seeing
Or
that?
when you powered up a level, all of a sudden he would look like a muscle guy for just
Yes,
a second and come back down
that
to the
was
scrawny tall
yeah,
guy.
I like that too. And I like that you could interchange out your different attacks too.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
You do that on the fly.
But I did
right?
notice that we started
You
off
had
at
to go
Oh,
level.
you had to go in the locker.
Yeah.
We started off at level 44 is what it said on mine. So I'm kind of curious, from beginning,
Yeah.
just starting at level 1, if it got a little bit more challenging. Because I felt like I was really kind of overpowered in the beginning.
I wonder if that's just because it didn't have a way to reset the level, and it was just from where
That
everybody
might
played
have
all week.
Might have been.
Yeah, I
know
was
what?
kind of curious about that too.
One thing I did like about, the devs there, I like that, I didn't really know that, I don't know why, I maybe just didn't think of it, but they had the people who created the music in the games there too.
Some of them did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a card for this.
Because, what did
That's the one that did
what type of
the
metal
Daryl,
did he say it
Supergirl.
was? It was
Yeah.
not
Now, see, you guys got to actually hear it.
I didn't.
Being on the Switch, I really didn't get to hear.
I didn't get to hear it because I didn't have the headphones because I was playing on the big screen. Did you like the music?
The music totally fed into the vibe.
Yeah.
For sure.
He said something about a
Was
power
it
ballad.
slash
in it.
metal? Oh, power metal.
Yeah.
No, he
Pow-
said power ballad is what he said.
No, power metal.
I thought he said power ballad.
Either way.
Either way.
It worked.
Yeah.
It totally worked. It was exactly what I think they were going for. It put me in the moment. It made
Yeah.
me smile the entire time because of its tomfoolery. I would like to get my hands on that one for sure and display that.
I liked how it looked way better on the PlayStation 4 than it did on the Switch.
Yeah, well, obviously, we're talking about a downgrade on screen resolution and whatnot. I'm gonna say that I loved the artwork.
Yeah.
Everything about that was fine, but the combat was kind of. And the reason I say that is because I didn't care for the what do you call it, where you use an attack and it has to respawn.
Oh, the cooldown?
Yeah, the cooldown.
Yeah.
Well, you
It
could throw
was a
two
very
boomerangs,
short
right?
cooldown.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a second.
Yeah, and
You can't spam the button.
Yeah,
but-
you have to kind of use
and I
all
guess
the attack buttons.
and I guess that's where my brain was. I was like, why can't I just attack? Maybe give me one basic attack I can continue to spam, and then have special moves that I can work in, because that's where I actually changed. Like you were talking about, where you could change your abilities. I try to find something with a shorter cooldown that I could attack, and then kind of work in the other attacks as I was going on. So that was my only gripe about it, is just feeling like I wish I had just a basic attack I could just continue on with, and then
Well, you had a
have.
kick that you could do.
But it had a higher cooldown. I moved on to a sword attack, which had a very short cooldown out of all the moves I had, and that helped me kind of.
Well, I thought the kick was just a thing you had, because wasn't it attached to
The R button, but it was I think it was a 2-second cooldown, but it was almost like a heavy attack, because when you kicked, you took off a lot of damage.
Yeah, you're right, because most of it was 5 damage or something
yeah.
like that.
I like
or
the
you
fire
could stun 'em.
explosive one because you knock the
I didn't
enemies
do
back.
that one, so
Yeah.
But
I
that's
did the ones that came up from the ground and flew the enemies everywhere.
I think they were really wanting you to just use everything.
But that but that
Yeah.
said, if you manage your buttons right, and again we're kind of playing it, on the fly, just trying to get the hang of it. If you manage your controls right, you know what you're going after. Going from whatever your button configuration is. If you plan it just right, you can chain an attack that'll be worthwhile. So maybe if I got used to it and I was more comfortable with it with a controller I was familiar with.
Yeah, the Switch
outside
is hard.
I avoided the Switch at all costs at any opportunity because I'm not used to it at all.
So I think maybe if it was under those circumstances, maybe I would have enjoyed it more. But it was just not being familiar with the Switch, trying to manage the attacks in such a way, it was a little disconcerting and discombobulating, I guess. So I don't know, that it turned me off from it just a little bit. So I'm not hating on it completely. For me, the combat was a little tricky.
And one thing to know about the combat is that when you're hit by the enemies, in my brain from the games that I'm used to playing, is that when you get hit, you take a significant amount of damage.
Yeah.
These guys kind of like tickle you.
And that might have been where we were such a high level.
Right.
Yeah.
And that might have been on purpose.
Yeah,
They
true.
may have set it up for the demo to be
But
up
the
higher.
enemies also dropped a massive quantity of health things.
Yeah, health
You saw
and
that.
They did do that.
And that was
Yeah.
more with the was it the boss battle toward the end, like at the end
No,
of the
I
demo?
noticed it on
Money
every
and
one of
stuff
them.
like that.
Yeah.
They were
I-
all dropping those little little
Yeah.
circles, and that just filled up
You're
everybody's
right. That
health.
might have been due to being such a high level to start.
So, again, we don't know what the guys were doing, but it does look like a fun game. And for anybody looking to play it, it will be available on April 10th. So Tuesday, tomorrow, when you're listening to this, tomorrow, if you want to check out Super Daryl Deluxe, you can find it on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, Nintendo Switch, whatever you got, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, it's
the
everywhere.
character looks like Butthead with a mustache.
He does look.
Think of that.
All right, Todd, what do you got?
Today I did a little VR.
Okay,
Went
well,
over to the
what did
Sony-
you play? You played.
I played Killing Floor Incursion.
Okay, what'd you think?
Totally different game. Totally different game is what the guy at the booth said. Said it's not like the other one. It's
Now
got
we played the regular Killing Floor, the three of us.
Yep.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
We played what he called it, the hold down mode. I think that's what
Okay.
Killing Floor is usually how it is.
Mhm.
This one had more like you have missions in it.
Okay.
Like I had to go get gas for a generator to open a gate,
Mm-hmm.
and then I got to another part. I actually beat the regular level faster than I was supposed to, so I got to go on into the next level, and
Nice.
I never died.
Mm-hmm.
So he even told me, he's like, you even beat the crawly things. You know, the crawly thing looks like spiders with the
Mhm.
whatever. They always kill you in the other game. I got past those. I never died once. He's like, that's where I died. So I felt good.
But again, I mean, I think you're familiar with the PSVR and
Yeah.
the mechanics, so
Yeah, and it
you
felt-
probably had a lot of advantage over people who come in and be like, "I've never played before."
Yeah, if you've played Arizona Sunshine is the one I compared it to. It had a lot of the same control scheme,
Nice.
and it felt good. I never felt like I don't know. I never felt like it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like there was one time, like he told me right off the bat, it was an alpha.
Mm-hmm.
So he said sometimes it's gonna hang up. He said treat it like your move controllers or maracas and it'll fix. And I had one time where my hand got stuck
Mm-hmm.
and I just shook it and it popped right back over where it was supposed to.
Nice.
So. But it controlled really good, felt good. A lot of the same things like from the other one, just a lot of zombies,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of different kinds of zombies.
You know, I mean, after you just kind of mentioned Arizona Sunshine, it made me kind of think about it. I'm surprised they didn't have at least one booth that was using the, what was it, the VR aim, the PS.
Yeah, the controller would be perfect. The aim
Yeah.
controller would be perfect for this.
So yeah, I'm a little surprised they didn't have something.
But
like
at the
that.
same time, this thing does use two hands. Like in one hand, you have a machete. You can actually flip it over and throw it
Oh,
and
nice.
go get it. Yeah, it was cool. Like I hit a button and he flipped it over and then I just threw it. Or you just start slashing with it. I actually dropped it when I went to get the gas can and I never found it again.
Now, tell me it wouldn't have been awesome if you'd have been able to flip it on your own and then you
I
flip
know
the
it.
move controller
Yes.
instead of a button.
Yeah.
Granted, I know you can't see it,
And then I actually
but tell
throw
me
the
that
move
wouldn't have
controller.
been just awesome to go.
Or if
See,
you
that'd
just at
be
least-
something I would screw
If you at
all
least
up.
just make the movement, like you're going to flip it, just do like that
Yeah.
and you could flip the knife. That would be cool.
Yeah,
But yeah, you flip it over and you grab the blade and you can just throw it.
cool.
And then, yeah, I killed one zombie. I went and got it out of him. And then after I was done with that, I had to go through the gate. So I had to go find the actually, I dropped it to try to push the button. because you take your hand and you pull the trigger and he puts his finger out. So I'm trying to push the button. I can't do anything. This is maybe you need to get some gas. And then I went and found the gas, and I never found the machete anymore.
Yeah.
But all in all, that game was really good. Not a release date for it. I think it's on PC now. No release date for the PS4 yet. Probably be this summer if I'm guessing, though. Yeah. It's in alpha, so that's pretty close to the end.
Very cool. But would you buy it?
Oh, I'm going to buy it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Really fun.
Nice. Lace, what do you got?
Oh my God, there were so many today. There really was. I did kind of find this really cool indie game that was tucked off in a corner, though. Only one PC that was running it. The devs were sitting off to the side, and just kind of by accident, I came up across it. It's called Stay by App Normals.
I've seen that,
I think that was going. So it's definitely more of like a text-based RPG. So the way it starts off is there's one character that you find out later on. I only played 3 chapters of it, that he got attacked and was put in this basement, and all that said is a PC and you. So you're playing the person on the other side of this PC. So this guy is trapped. He's depressed. He's suicidal. He doesn't know what's going on, and he doesn't, I don't think anyway, realize that there's a webcam on him as he's typing on this. So in the upper left corner, you see him, but the graphics are pixels. Like the pixelated graphics. So you've got that, and then there's like a little meter underneath that keeps track of how happy he is or scared or what have you. And so he's typing to you, begging for help. How do I get out of this situation? And so it's cute in the way that like they type it like how you would type. Because at first there was a misspell, and it was just bothering me. And then, like, you know how you'll do like the asterisks and then spell it correctly? Like the character would do that. I'm like, oh, okay, that was on purpose. So I thought it was that was kind of a cute little thing in there to give him a little bit more personality. So the game is in real time. So as the developers were telling me about this game was meant to be played in like a playthrough or 2 close together. Because if you turn off the game and walk away in real time, he's by himself and doesn't know where you are.
Wow.
And you could come back to the PC after a while, and he just offed himself.
Oh my God.
And he let it go for too long. So he's telling me this, like how much impact you have on the choices that you make in response to him too. And that I thought was really cool, because like, wow, like it makes you feel a little bit more for this guy, making you want to finish the game or come back to it right away, because this guy is literally just sitting at the PC waiting for you. You're his only mode of help to get out of this situation.
This little person, I have to take care of him.
Yes, it kind of breaks your heart if you gave like a smart aleck answer, like one of the things that they would give you to, because like he would look so defeated and upset because he doesn't trust you, of course. Yeah, because he doesn't know who you are. You don't know who he is, really, or why he's even in this situation. So, obviously, I said I only played the first 3 chapters, so I still don't know how I, as the character, or as the player, fits into the scheme of this. But you can decide whether you want to build up that trust between them or break it completely, which would be kind of an interesting thing to see if you drove him to be suicidal or what have you. But you could also be helpful, and like you encourage him to like look around the room. What can you see? And then they'll do like a little cutscene of him getting up from the PC and maybe looking at something and come back to report and like, what do you think and what you should do. And then you find out that he was a therapist. He was kind of addicted to painkillers. So there's like this whole deep story behind this guy. And I had stopped after chapter 3 because the demo did go to 6, but I wanted to save it to when I could sit down and do a full playthrough. I didn't want to spoil any more for myself. So yeah, like I started to get a little smart alecky in the beginning, but after a while he like grows on you. You start to feel bad for this guy and you want to know the story, and he's not going to tell you his background or who he is or anything until you start to build that trust. So then I started leaning more towards, okay, let's really help this guy and get out of it. And I just thought it was a really cool concept. I can be bought into those text-based RPGs like that. And I think they've just got a nice little gem on their hands there. I don't know when it's due out. It might actually already be out.
What other game was right over there beside that?
I think it was in the same one that had like the 1979 Revolution and the pig shooting game you were playing. I don't.
Yeah,
right.
I've seen it.
It was in like where the yellow
Right.
area was, and they had like 5 screens on one side, 5 screens on the other. It was all different games.
It was in the mini indie booth. Am I right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
because
yes.
I've never seen it all week.
I had stopped over there. I don't know what else I was walking by, but it was the pixelated graphics that caught my eye because I
Yeah.
do enjoy that style of game. And so when I saw it on the TV screen, there was only one guy playing it at the time. So I got up there and the devs just happened to be standing right next to the game. And so I got a really nice long chat with them about how they've actually been to like the Australian PAX and they've been going all around the world now and doing all this kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I think if you look at it, it's called Stay by Abnormals. Totally check that out. If you're looking for a nice, like he said about 4 to 5 hour game.
Yeah.
With a nice little emotional story attached to it. And if you want to get the feels, like I definitely want to pick it up. I want to finish it.
Did you get the feels?
I did. Like, it's like as you actually start to warm up to him and you're like going to help him and he starts to tell you, like, I don't want to give too much about the story that I did just in case, because I don't want to spoil it for those of you who might be interested in it. But once you start to like learn why he thinks he's in this situation and, you know, all this kind of stuff, you're just like, you don't want to be mean to him anymore. You're like, okay, let's help you get out of here, man. Let's figure this out.
Kind of like empathize with him.
Yeah, like they wrote the story really well, and like I said, with even just like those tiny little misspellings and fixing it, it makes you feel like you're talking more to like another person. Like they went so far as to give him that human kind of aspect to it, and I think that was just like one of the little gems that I happened to just by chance come across today that I'm really happy that it did.
Yeah.
Now, when you said that you were playing with this guy, was it contextually making it seem like it was you?
I was thinking maybe. Like, I was wondering, like, if maybe at the end I find out that I'm the one who, like, maybe put him in this situation or something. There was nothing that led me to believe that up to the point that I had played, but the thought did cross my mind. So, up till Chapter 3, there was nothing that flat out gave you that indication, no.
See, the reason I'm asking is Suda51, because I'm going to bring him up again. He did another game on the 3DS, or, well, I think it was just the DS, the Nintendo DS. It was called Contact. And in the game, you're following along this little boy and his world and whatnot, and eventually you come into contact with a professor who is contacting you personally through the DS. And with the DS, you have two screens. So on the bottom screen, you're following the boy and his adventures, but on the top screen is the professor. And if something is going on, he would look at you specifically as the player, and he's like, hey, you are helping control this kid and everything he's doing. So everything you do is dealing with that down there. So you really got invested in that idea that you were responsible for everything that's going on down there. Wow. And he would try to coax you into different things. And it was almost like he was studying parallel worlds. He's like, I see this and I see you. So let's figure this out together. And I like that idea that it really invests you more into the game when it's you personally involved. Right. So if that's what they're doing with Stay, perfect.
I think again, I would almost feel guilty if I find out later on that I'm the one. Because like I said, I found out just enough of the story where I was just like, oh, this poor guy. But who knows? He might start to trust me and tell me more things where I start to think he's a despicable human being for all I know. Because, I mean, they've left it at that point where it could go either way. We could find out that this guy, like, just... like I said, I don't want to give away too much because I do have a few more information about the story that I don't necessarily want to divulge that I think would be more fun if you saw it and had come across. But it also kind of reminded me of, did you ever play that game called The Experiment that came out about 10, 11 years ago? Back in the day when you had to like pick out the games at the store and you bring them back for PC, and it was about this woman that was like trapped on this ship. And you, again, were trying to help her get out, but it was only through cameras. So you would switch to the different video cameras that were around the ship, and she would come up to the video camera and look at you, and you would try to indicate through her from, like, moving the camera which way she needed to go to try to lead her out. So kind of, I don't remember, she had dialogue in that, and that was the only one. But it was kind of like that's what it reminded me of when I was talking to them. But then when I got hands-on to the game, I'm like, oh no, this is a little bit different, but same kind of concept, I guess, where you're trying to help someone escape, and I liked it. Nice. I'm really glad that I stopped by.
I love games that can draw me in emotionally. So I didn't even know about this game, but just hearing you talk about it, I'm like, oh my god, I think I would really like to play this game just to see where it goes.
Yeah. You were playing the game right next to it, and I was watching that game.
Yeah.
Just the trailer for it, and it kept like alone. And it showed a little thing, and I was like, I might go play that game, but then I had to go do something else.
And I think with the creativity of just putting that webcam there, because he does make a comment where he's like, do you think they're watching me? So that's why I knew it's like, this guy I don't think even realizes there's a webcam in this computer, because he even does this where he'll come up real close, like he's trying to put his eye in there and he's like, well, I can't find anything. So when you're watching his emotion go one way or the other depending on like what you said, and then you're like, oh my God, you know, you just felt like he just looked so sad there, or like, I can't trust you yet, you know, and you're just, well, okay, now I'm going to pick the right answers. I want to get on your side. Let's figure this out. Okay, I'm sorry, you know. Yeah, that definitely a nice little
I'm
treasure
kind
that
of
I
curious about how other people would react to this game, where like, as us, like we're like emotional people and we want to help others, where, you know, other people who play this game who want to see him suffer.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, the answers that were built in, I don't know, again, like further down the line, because like, again, I said I started going towards the help. If I would have kept going down that hole of just being a sarcastic jerk about it, well, I don't know who you are, was like one of the answers. Well, he's like, well, to be fair, I don't know who you are either. He's like, I just have to trust you right now because you're the only one talking to me. So please don't go, stay, you know? And then once he started, oh, I'm this, and give you a little bit of that. So if I would have kept down that, I wonder if that, like, maybe it ends the game early. He gives up. He has no hope anymore because the one person, you know, that could have helped him decided not to. Or, you know, so that's, I would actually be the type to play it both ways.
Yeah.
You know, just so I could see how the story would unfold that way.
And considering there are numerous chapters in which you can kind of go through, it
think
makes
he
you
said,
wonder.
Like 16, yeah.
So at some point, any point during those 16 chapters, he could just say, fuck it. You know?
Yeah.
We might have that option too, to just be like, you know what, yeah, sorry, tried, sucks to be you, you know, like, or however the dialogue would go, but yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Stay by App Normal's team.
Okay. I'll definitely look that up. I'm going to talk about Verdant Skies. You talked about it yesterday, and that was the first thing we went to today because I wanted to check out this game because I you know, we had talked about it yesterday, or you did anyway, and, you know, I reached out to him on Twitter, let him know that, you know, it was talked about on the show, and they were responsive, you know, and that's important to me. If a dev is going to be responsive and say, thank you for reviewing the game, talking about it on your show, I'm going to go and check it out for myself because, again, I hadn't seen it. So I remember seeing it, I just didn't play it. So I went there, I checked it out, and it got me. It got me quick because it reminded me of Harvest Moon was a game that really kind of it was a good parallel to the game, I guess, because you're kind of building a civilization, a farm, trying to get relationships off the ground with the people around you, but it's also in the sense that it's not just, oh, well, you're making a farm for yourself and everything. It's almost like survival because don't you crash land on a planet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're a guy, you crash down on this planet and, you know, you're just kind of screwed and you gotta find a way to survive. So these two people that you're there with, it's two ladies. It's like one that will greet you, and then she'll take you to the person who's in charge, and you just kind of have to fall in line. And it did seem like they gave you dialogue options to either kind of be a jerk about things or just to be like, yeah. Because I think one of the first ones I remember having was, you know, it's like, well, you crashed, you know, one of our ships down on the beach there, and you could have either said, it's not my fault, or it's like, okay, it's no problem. And I was just like, it's no problem. I'm sorry. You know, I couldn't help it.
See, I didn't. I was like, it's not my fault. It's like, come on, man. I almost died, you know?
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting because they're giving you options. You can either kind of approach it one way or the other. And I even remember there was a dialogue choice I had with one of the characters that she was just kind of chit-chatting, and there was a bar that went up. It wasn't like a relationship bar.
I think so, yeah. Because you can, he did mention you could be best friends or marry that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this way of building relationships with people that you're going to meet on this journey. And I remember at first I was like, did that just actually happen? But after talking to the dev afterwards, I was like, maybe it did. She was asking, she's like, yeah, you know, we've got a lot of work to do. What's your favorite tool? And I had options of like what my favorite tool is. And I was like, oh. So I just said, a hammer. And the bar went down a little bit. And she's like, yeah, it's a good tool. And I was like, but why did the bar go down? So I was like, did I see that right? So maybe it's just not her cup of tea. She's like, oh, you like a hammer? Okay. So maybe she just wasn't into it, and that's fine. But maybe that's an option.
What were the other options?
Like a pick for like hitting stones, an axe for the lumber. I want to say a shovel or
she
something
likes to
to
dig
do.
it out, baby.
So I mean, you have these options.
Family-friendly game.
So you have these options of things to play, to answer. So it made me kind of curious if I answered like that in that moment. Does that mean that relationship is just going to be doomed at that point, or do I have a way to salvage that? It's like, well, maybe she's not fond of the hammer, but I can be like, well, hey, just because we don't agree there, we can agree on other things, and eventually I can build a relationship that could lead to something more later on, or maybe we're just friends. I don't know.
She thought you were talking about your dingus.
Maybe.
Your
But
hammer.
no, it's family friendly.
That's what she thought about.
Perhaps.
You really meant a hammer.
But as I was playing it, I'm going to keep going. As I was playing it, when you're trying to, they'll give you tasks on, hey, we need to get a garden started. Go out and plant some stuff, and they actually had a hose out there, so you didn't have to go scoop up some water or something like that. So I like that aspect, that you didn't have to go out of your way just to get water. There was so word I'm looking for
Reservoir?
here, huh?
Reservoir?
Yeah, there you go, with a hose and everything like that. Whatever you want to call it. There's a more proper term, but it's late.
A water tank.
There you go, with a hose. So you can
reserve.
a reserve. Thank you. And you can just hose it down as you need it, and you need to keep an eye on it as you're doing that. So I thought that was a good idea. And then as I was trying to gather materials like chopped wood or stones or anything like that to build, anything they've asked me to build, you wear yourself out, like you normally would in normal, regular day life. So as I was doing that, I noticed that my bar was going down, and then I was like, I'm getting tired. What am I going to have to do? Am I going to have to go take a nap? Because I had plenty of daylight left, and I was like, I don't want to go take a nap. There's got to be food around here. So I started scavenging around. I found berries. They weren't a lot to, boost my stamina back up, but it did the job. So I was like, okay, that'll give me some time for now, until the point where I didn't have anything else that I could go after. So I was just like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to have to go to bed because I'm running out of options. So over time, obviously, you're going to have the resources to make food because there was a kitchen where you could make food, sandwiches, whatever. And I'm sure that will come into play later on to where you can keep your stamina up at all times and work a full day. So I like that. There was even customization. I don't know if you saw that.
There was, yeah.
I didn't deal with it. I just kind of opened up the menu and I saw it. You could customize your character however you wanted, clothes, face, hair, whatnot. And I was like, oh, cool. But I don't want to deal with that right now. But as I was playing it, I put it down at one point where I was like, I have to stop because I will be here all day.
Yeah.
I knew at that point that I wanted to play this more because it was engaged. It was sucking me in so much that I was like, I've got to stop. I got to stop right now because I can be here all day if I wanted
One
to.
more day. I'll just play one more day.
Yeah, and I at least played a full day, and then I was just like, all right, I'm done. So it's a great game. It's something I want to go back to and try. We have an option to play it.
Yes.
So I'm definitely going to do that, and it's going to be. It's not out yet.
I think it is actually, or in early access again, like all the So, but again, I do like to hit home the fact that like how much care they took into making sure people with disabilities could play this game because they do partner with able gamers, and I know we had mentioned yesterday about if you had color blindness, there was options for that, or for hearing impairments. He purposefully made it to where it could be only point and click, so like people for quadriplegics that have to use the mouth, I don't know what it's called, but to move it on there, he made it purposely like that. And to add to that, the fishing element in it, which is, if anybody has watched my streams with that had fishing in it, freaking can't stand fishing in games. I just can't. It doesn't make sense to me. It's boring. It's dull. Whatever. To each their own. But the way they made it was like it's a harpoon, right? And so when the fish is coming across there, it's just a line that goes, and so you have to time the target to hit the fish. And again, that was another nod to making sure people with disabilities could play, because he said some people have trouble with constant clicking motions or doing it fast enough to make those things happen. So I just find it extremely touching that they took so much care into making sure children or people with disabilities could still play this game and have a great time.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
because
right?
you don't run into a lot of games that do that. And I'm sure a lot of people with disabilities would love to play
Right.
video games, depending upon their limitations, you know, and that is fantastic. And that's probably groundbreaking. They probably started a whole new thing right
I
there,
hope so.
and more game developers will probably go towards that, making more options. I really think they should.
I really hope so, yeah.
And furthermore, they actually made, like, the one character, the very first one you come into contact with, she was blind. So they even made, I'm going to assume a lot of the characters you're going to encounter are these type of people that they're catering to. And that allows them to have someone they can relate to. And I like that.
Yeah, I think they did everything right with this game, especially for that genre. They did it justice. It's a lot of fun, and it's accessible for almost anybody, and I love that. I love it.
Didn't you say that you could also add your, like, for streamers?
Yes, he added.
That's right.
There was another feature that he mentioned that if you're a streamer or someone in particular, you had a logo of any kind, that you could have a code and you can upload your logo or whatnot, and you could actually have it
Like
turned
it's a
in
skin in the game. Or
yeah,
something
a skin
like
for it could be for clothing, a poster, whatnot, whatever it is. You could use it, and then you can actually share it with your community.
That's
so
awesome.
When we kind of thought about that for like Epic, you know, anybody who's an Epic friend, and you can just say, here's an Epic T-shirt for your character, or
Right.
an Epic
That's-
poster for your
yeah.
house or whatnot,
Look at
and that allows them to be included in that. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, so if you buy the game, make sure to reach out and get that customizable skin for yourself as a
PS4,
streamer.
please.
I'm sure. I think he said. Well, did he say anything about that?
I think that's like later on. Like consoles are a hope. It's just not
Okay.
great yet.
Everything at PAX
And again,
East
I hope I'm
needs
right
to
when I
come to
say that. I
PS4.
talked to him so long.
Everything at PAX East needs to come to PS4.
Well, if they
lot of them-
some
a
some
lot
of
of
them
them
don't
do,
have
though.
that.
Need to upgrade to a PC, man.
Some of them
Yeah.
don't have that option. There were a lot of them that I heard,
Yeah.
and I'll get to one later, who said, that's the dream,
Right?
but we've just got to get there.
Well, wake up.
Well,
Get
they're
there.
trying. All right.
I'm sure they'll succeed.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, Beth, what do you got?
So my next game that I want to play, which I was very upset yesterday because I did not get a chance to play a VR game, which was my main goal. But I got to today, so I'm happy about
You
that.
get to do two today.
Yes, I did too. This first one was an indie game. Mm-hmm. Wanted to check it out. I saw it on the screen. I think it was like what I saw was in the forest part, and I'm like, that looks
It
gorgeous.
looked like No Man's Sky. That part did. Just
Did?
like No Man's Sky. I remember
It
that's
looked-
what we commented on when we walked by. That looked
Oh,
like
that
No Man's
one.
Sky right there. We started
Yeah,
joking. and all of a sudden it was like, oh, shit.
Anamorphine is the name of it.
Oh, no, we're talking about Anamorphine.
Yes, Anamorphine is what I'm
Okay.
talking about. Yep.
Yeah, so let's
Remember
talk
we
about
walked
that
up,
because
it was in that one little small section, and it did look just like the surface of a planet on No Man's Sky. Because I started laughing. I was like, "What in the hell? Come on!" And then all of a sudden, it did this 360, and you was in a damn theater, and I was like, "No, this is something else. This is not." No Man's
Not
Sky.
Yeah.
even close, right?
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
now as we get into this, I want to touch real quick because it was Beth and Laceya
Yep.
played it, but they both played different types of games. So Beth actually got to play the Oculus version, so she was immersed in VR, whereas Lace was just playing. Was it just Windows?
Yeah.
Was it Windows or PS4?
I think it was a console, actually.
Because I think they were
it
they were
looked like
talking about.
PlayStation
Now with all the
4, I
different
think.
controllers that
Controller.
people gave it to me. I want to say it was the Microsoft one because there was only one today that I played that had the PlayStation one, and then I got all
okay.
screwed up because all weekend everyone kept handing me the Microsoft
Yeah.
one, and I'm like, now I don't know where the joysticks are. Anyway, that's a tangent.
But again, two different perspectives here. So, all right, go ahead and tell us what you thought. And
So I was talking to one of the developers, and she was like, it's like a psychological game, which I love those. I absolutely love those. And she's like, you find the clues and you walk towards them, and they will change things around you. She didn't give anything away, so I just did what she said. I'm just like explored everything, and when I came to a clue, it's like glowy like pieces of paper or instruments or anything, and you go up to it and it changes the room, or the not the room, or even like the whole like scenery that you're in. And the main one, it kind of freaked me out a little bit because, and it was, I don't know if it was totally intentional, but then they had like, I was in the house and then you see the people in the house. And I'm like, okay.
That freaked me out.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect.
Face.
Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect from it because I'm like, all right, is this gonna? Because she didn't tell me if it's gonna be like scary or jump scares or anything like that.
And I even asked her flat out. I guess because I heard psychological.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing beyond that. So I said, "So is this psychological horror?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, just psychological."
Yeah.
She's like, "There's no horror element. There's nothing going to jump out at you. It's psychological. Period."
Yep.
So, and by the way, her name was Stephanie. She was really awesome. We had a conversation.
Yeah, she was fantastic. Fantastic.
So awesome to you, Stephanie. Keep going.
So you start off, you're exploring in a house. It's like tons of trash in there, and the more clues you get, the more trash it fills up, and then you start finding instruments, and you start seeing the people, and then they start putting dishes away. Whatever that means, but
I think it was just like to try to recollect how the life was before it became trash.
Okay,
is like what I took it to mean.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then you start hearing the music, the cello, I believe it is, and you just like start going towards the music of the cello. It starts directing you towards where you start needing to go.
She also heard the sound way better than all of us.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
for
was
sure.
amazing. The music was awesome. And then I ended up in a theater, which I thought was so cool. Like, I loved the theater, and it was empty, completely empty. So you have to go up these stairs, and you go around, and you find the clues, and then you see. What freaked me out, I found the clues, and I'm facing the main stage on the balcony, and then I turn around, and all of a sudden, there's a bunch of black mannequins, all different poses, and it freaked me out. Like, I jumped. I'm like, what? I didn't expect it. It was weird. It just, like, if I was really there in real life and there was, like, mannequins everywhere, it would just freak me out. It just would. But, and then they start playing, like, there's a band, and they start playing the music together, and then you approach the band, and then you enter this maze type thing, and you go towards the cello, and then you're in this forest, and it's like this magical, gorgeous forest, and you're going towards these, like, I don't even know what to call it. It's like
A flower or something. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a flower, but like to get to the flower, it was like it was like
those,
colors,
wispy
things like spurting up in the air,
like maybe
kind of
flower
thing.
petals or something.
They
Yeah.
were squirting.
Yeah.
They were squirting up in there.
And the colors were so like rich and bright at the same time. They were gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then these flowers would just come up out of the ground, and just going through the forest, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And I was telling her, I'm like, this reminded me a lot of Layers of Fear without the horror. You turn one way, you do one thing, and everything completely changes. Ooh, my bad. The only thing I didn't like about it is that I was thinking in my head, I'm like, if I have to play this game any longer, I'm gonna have to stop prematurely because I'm getting motion sick. Okay. I didn't like how it was very choppy with the turns, and when you go forward, it was too fast for me. And in the forest, the ground was kind of waving.
Yeah.
So
And she actually said they did that on purpose.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. It was funny because you mentioned something earlier that actually reminded. I don't know. There was like something that clicked in my head. I was like, why does it sound familiar? You were talking about the seven.
Seven Hills in Fall River.
The Seven Hills.
Yeah.
You were mentioning that. I was like, why do I feel like I heard that today? It was from her. She said something about that.
Yep, I loved the game. I thought it was awesome. And I played it was with the Oculus, which I have never done before. So I was curious to try that out for
So let me
size
ask
too.
you this: when you were playing, did you notice was there a dot in the middle of the screen that you kept following?
No, I didn't see a dot.
That could be why you got sick, because they say that helped a lot.
He did tell me that I had the option to turn mine on or off. And I just left it for the sake of
Yeah, it's
knowing
probably
where I
turned
was
off on
directing
mine.
my attention when I needed to go up to a clue. So I didn't actually even think about that for VR, whether you could turn that on or off. Or
Well, I've got some insight to this, but I want to let you talk about your experience because I'm remembering a whole lot from the conversation.
Yeah, like you probably got to talk to them a lot longer too because we were playing the game. Exactly what she said. It's a very gorgeous game. I like the way that they were telling the story with just having to find the clues and start piecing it together. You find out, I think, that you're Tyler and you're looking for these clues for Elena, which was the main protagonist that I think we kept seeing with the white hair. Yeah. And then there would be other people that was there, but the one that was actually playing the cello and all this kind of stuff. So I think we're on the search to figure out what happened with her.
She had white hair. In my game, she had like purple hair.
Maybe it was supposed to be. At first I thought it was like the clue, like how they glowed.
On the monitor. I was watching hers and yours.
I don't know, but I was seeing her as like a lilac-y purple
That might
hair,
be
but,
right, though.
Yeah.
It was light. It was bright, though. Yeah. It wasn't like a regular color. It's like it glowed a little bit.
Yeah.
It did glow.
It had a glow.
But that's possible, but I'll explain that later.
Okay.
Since he's got all the answers. But yeah, so I mean, I actually found it fascinating the way they were telling this story as well. It's just, there's no dialogue, no nothing. Sound cues probably got a lot better because like I don't think I had a headset for mine, but I did hear when the cello and everything was starting to play, like they did have the volume up loud enough for that. And the same thing with like going through the theater and stuff like that. Although I have to say, I think I did overhear her say that every woman who's played the game in the VR jumped at that situation when they turned around and saw all of them.
Yeah, and that is so weird. That's so
for me, it was just like I wasn't as immersed, I guess, in VR as you are. So like it didn't catch me off guard. I did kind of go like, wow. But I remember walking up to a couple of clues and then trying to move forward, but then all of a sudden it was a painting against a wall. Yeah. So I'm like,
I love that.
So then you had
that
to
was
back
really
up
cool.
and look around like you've just been transformed into some, in somewhere else, or the world transformed around you. I have to say though, it did kind of make me a little motion sick though too, and I wasn't in the VR, so I don't know if it's something to maybe like slowed down the joystick movement. Maybe there's something I need to futz with settings there. I didn't know if it was just because I was still really tired. It was like the first game we tried that day and I didn't have enough coffee or enough breakfast. It was like, and the screen was so large and I was so close to it because normally I wouldn't be sitting that close to a TV screen when I'm playing video games. Right. But when you said that, I'm like, well, maybe there's something that needs to be slowed down there, or I need to futz with the setting because I was starting to feel a little bit too. But again, yeah, I definitely want to continue to play that. I don't think necessarily in VR. But I like the concept of having it in VR, especially with the way that they're creating this world. I find it leads to that. It's very conducive.
It works good both ways.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Now she did say that it was going to be in PSVR come summertime, and I think right now it's Oculus and Steam, PC, whatever for now. If I'm not mistaken, hopefully I'm not misspeaking. But when I spoke to Stephanie, she was talking about how I mentioned psychological, not horror, psychological. So where you were talking about there's no dialogue or anything like that, you have to understand what's going on through the story through visual clues. Right. And she said that's what you really need to kind of focus on with this game are the visual clues of everything around you, trying to understand what's going on, what the story is. And that was the driving force on the way they were trying to make it very psychological. And based on, again, this could be a big stretch, but where you were saying interpreting the different color hair, she said as you're playing the game, how it is interpreted is based up to you. Oh. So as you're, however it ends, however it comes out, it's based on your perception. So how you play it and you play it, you could both play it together, but by the end of it, you could have a completely different idea of what actually happened.
Well, GG.
Oh, wow, nice.
This is why he was so excited to hear us to talk about it, because he had this other insight into it.
Well, I'm happy we both played it. Different.
Because
good job. It worked, because clearly we both...
Yeah.
And again, that color hair could be a stretch, but the fact that you were just like you're just like, I'm pretty sure it was purple. So that was your take on it, and you saw white. It's your perception, and like I said, it could be a stretch. I don't know, but that's cool.
Yeah,
just
very
hearing
cool.
you say that,
and maybe Beth is colorblind.
And she could be. Who knows?
Maybe I'm just biased towards purple hair.
I mean, yeah. But again, that could lean more toward your perception.
Yep.
That's what you wanted to see, and that's how you interpreted it. So if that's how it's playing into your psychology, that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So I was excited to sit there and talk to her about it and really understand about it. She even said if you paid attention, that area that you were talking about where it was like the rolling hills and the forests and whatnot, if you pay close attention, it will guide you where you need to go. Mm-hmm. You just have to you have to really pay close attention.
Like fireflies?
I did get lost there for a little bit until I started to pick up on what it was trying to guide me with.
I didn't see fireflies.
Yeah.
I saw.
Oh, well, I seen them. Yeah.
I didn't see
She
fireflies.
said something to that effect.
But
So
what I saw was
Wispy
like what
thing?
I can relate it to, like the Northern Lights.
okay. And see, and what was funny is when she mentioned it to me, I started watching. I think it was yours, and I was just like, I'm not seeing it. But it was cool because I mean, you were still going, but I was like, why am I not seeing it? She just told me what I need to be looking for, but I'm not seeing it. Yeah. But I wasn't dismissing what she said. I was like, that's interesting that I can't see what she's telling me. So I don't know that just the idea about it. Two differing opinions on what you actually experienced in a way. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Everybody's gone to the rapture is what it reminded me of.
Okay.
This
same thing.
That experience, almost like a walking simulator. In a way, you find these clues, and the story kind of you depict how the story ends. You know what I mean? Like what you find is what you know of the story. This way, but this seems like they said more psychological.
Yeah.
Because that is kind of cool. What you see
Too psychological.
is what she sees could be way different than what she sees, even though they see the same thing. Because I seen the same thing on both of y'all's screen, and y'all both seen something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't see like the fireflies or anything like that. I've just been so trained now in video games to look everywhere and even up. So when I saw like the pink smoke or the wispy things or whatever, that was my cue. I was like, I bet you that's where I need to be heading because I'm off in a corner seeing if there's something else I should be picking up or a clue I'm finding. And then once I started going to those, the flowers would open up, a new scenario would present itself or something.
Did you see the ground kind of form and kind of guide you where to go?
I did not.
See, that I saw that.
Maybe that's something that advantage at VR, being fully submersed, being able to look down at the ground and all that kind of stuff.
I want to play this game, like me myself, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So Anamorphine is the name of the game. Artifacts or Artifact 5, I think, is the developer of Anamorphine. Definitely check it out, guys. We're impressed by what they're doing. They're doing something very unique with the idea of really getting into your head with a story, and I'm anxious to play it.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to have it.
and we joked about it walking up on it.
Yeah,
that was what the thing was. You know, we was like, look at this game. It's trash. It looks like No Man's Sky. And then all of a sudden, I was like, whoa.
Wait a second.
Give it like 5 more seconds. You're like that.
But you know what? That's the beauty of talking to a dev because she made me actually look at it from a whole nother light.
Yeah,
And we actually had a pretty good conversation, you know, even when we kind of mentioned horror. It just got into different things. It was just like, well, you know, what kind of horror do you like? And she was like, you know, I kind of like, she liked the deeper horror stuff, you know, not like Resident Evil action, stuff like that. She wanted
stuff that really messes with your brain.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I learned that, you can see where her mind is when she's developing this game, being one of the devs on it. She's like, I got to get in deep with this, you know.
But didn't she say something that dealt with depression and stuff like that also?
I believe
it
so.
was like
Yeah.
she did say like how you choose to your actions that you choose in your game will guide you to be more of a darker side or a lighter side. But I don't understand how she meant by that, just because
it doesn't really feel like you're making decisions.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like you're discovering the story. So
I was
that's
just kind of
interesting.
going where it was guiding me to go. So,
in this,
what I thought was a clue, and I go over there and it
But what you
develops
see in
into-
that clue could determine in your brain if it's light or dark. Oh, like you could see like, okay, so he's depressed. Like somebody else could see something different about that.
yeah, and that goes back into the psychological. It's tailored to you specifically, how you interpret things.
I think all 4 of us need to play it, come back, and have another podcast
Yes.
on our own
Yes,
experiences.
just
So that
Anamorphine.
way
yeah.
I feel like we
absolutely,
could unload
that's
whole
a fantastic
lot on
idea.
So I'm definitely digging that. So I hope you guys are hearing this tomorrow or today or whatever, whenever you hear it, because we're going to tag you in this for sure. Todd, what do you got?
What do I have?
What else do you have that you played?
Let me think a minute. I really just kind of watched again. I played.
Okay.
I don't really want to talk about it because Murderous Pursuit. I played that.
Okay, well, go ahead. No, we can talk
Yeah.
about that.
Well, I mean, y'all enjoyed it, and I can understand why. Like, I feel like I would have had a lot more fun if I knew what was going on. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, I sit inside this box. My character. Let me set it up. Okay, you apparently have a person you're hunting. There's 8 people, maybe 2 people, right?
Well, there was 8 players. Each player has a person there to be hunting.
Okay, and then somebody is hunting you.
Yep.
Yeah.
In return, so it's kind of like a vicious cycle, right? Mm-hmm. I couldn't walk. Like, it's on PC, right? I'm clicking
They
the
didn't
damn
give him a
mouse.
controller.
I could not walk.
I
finally-
didn't even think about it when he went to go play this game. I just automatically assumed.
Did you not know what to press?
Huh?
Did you not know what to press?
No, they didn't say anything. Like,
Did
you know
they-
what it
There was no tutorial.
Was there a
was hitting the
keyboard or
arrows.
mouse or anything?
Keyboard and mouse.
I was hitting the arrows. Like, what's this shit ain't working.
Did you
So-
try
And then I went
WASD?
over. I literally hit every damn button, and when I hit one, and they took a step right. I was like, oh, okay. Then I hit another one, didn't do nothing, and I was like, okay. Oh, they went that way. Oh, okay, shit, I got it. And then I got killed, and then I got killed again, and then I tried to kill somebody, and every time I tried to kill somebody, I was like, you can't do that. I'm like, but they killed me. I
That wasn't
literally.
your target, probably.
Yeah, maybe I thought it was. I overheard y'all talking. This is just like that game. What was that game?
Spy Party.
Spy Party. You said that one person is trying to kill everybody.
Yeah, that was like the first thing, like after I got done playing it, that I thought of. Spy Party is this. It's by this one guy. Like, he's the only one who's developing this game, so
Yeah.
it's been taking an extremely long time. But he's doing a fantastic job. But yeah, it was like but it was only 2 players, so it's a 2-player game.
Right.
So one person is the sniper looking through a window at a party, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other person is playing the party goer. So you're in there with a bunch of NPCs, so it behooves you to do what the NPC's behavior is so that the sniper can't tell that it's you. But you have certain missions of swapping things out or doing this right here that hopefully the sniper doesn't catch you doing, because that's going to be your one tell that you're the human. But that's kind of what it reminded me of there. On a grander scale, obviously, because you're adding in more players to the mix for this
And
one.
while you're playing this game, you can totally tell who's real and who's not, because the NPCs are walking straight, and all of a sudden you see somebody walk, because you'll walk straight through somebody if you're a real person. Like, the NPCs are walking straight, and then you'll see a person walking, and they run into the corner of the wall, and I'm like,
Well,
okay,
see, that's where they're silly, because since I had played Spy Party, I stood there for a long
did the
time
same
to
thing,
watch
'cause I couldn't
how the
move.
NPCs and everybody were reacting.
Yeah.
And so I observed it probably for the first minute. Like, I didn't move.
I couldn't move for the
Well,
first 2 minutes.
I knew how to move because I do PC game, but I emulated that, and that's probably why I won.
Well,
But
see,
there
like, I didn't
was
know-
Laceya has experience with these games.
Well, one, yeah.
Yeah.
One game like it.
And we had the dev right next to us, kind of like guiding us,
that
like
was
me, because I didn't really know either. I mean, I know how to operate the game and move and everything, but I didn't know
I
like
feel
the
like I
strategy.
figured it out, though.
Yeah, but there's little areas that's like dotted lines, and you just stand in them, and then it makes you act like the
Like you're
NPCs.
looking at the
And it
paint.
hides
Yeah,
you.
it technically like
I
hides
didn't
you.
realize, I
Yeah.
didn't know, I noticed my thing said exposed, but for a long time it didn't. It says not exposed, and I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden I looked down and it was exposed.
So maybe I was at an advantage because Spy Party had the same thing. Like, there was if you wanted to move in with a crowd, there was a circle that you could go into and default to talk to people and stuff like that.
And I noticed it would fill up, but I didn't realize what that meant.
Gotcha.
I just thought that exposed meant that everybody around me could see me. And I noticed every time it said it, I was in a room with everybody else, but I was so concentrated on how the hell do I move.
He just wanted to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. You wanted to figure out the mechanics of the game. That's the only point.
As soon as I noticed somebody, I'm like, oh shit, that's a real person right there, and I know it is, because the way
But you
they're
didn't
moving.
know if it was your target or not. You just
Right,
wanted to kill the
right.
real person.
Yeah.
It said Hunter is on the same floor with you, and I'm like, oh, I got this motherfucker.
I'm gonna kill everybody on this floor
And
then.
I go up to shoot him and pull the gun out, and they point and go, and all of a sudden go, you can't kill this character. My character looks down and puts the gun out. I'm like, shit. Why can't I
And now
kill it?
he's exposed, so
And
he's
I'm
going to have a dot
exposed,
over his
and
head
then
for about 10
killed.
seconds.
All of a sudden, somebody hit me in the back of the head. Pow.
Oh, you got arrested then, because that's
No,
what
no.
happened to me.
No, they
No,
hit
what
me
I
with a
think
club.
happened is because when you get exposed for a certain period of time, you have a dot that anyone can see. So whoever was hunting him probably knew that was
They
their
knew where I
target
was.
And
went
hit
straight
him.
for him.
Yeah.
They were on the same floor with me already, and that's why every time I noted when it said a hunter's on the same floor. The hunt is on the same floor, whatever it said. That's when I would go find the person because it had a little icon, like a little green icon.
Yeah, that would have been your target.
And I thought, oh, there they are right there, because they would go to move around. And one time the guy killed me. And when I respawned, I was right there and I seen him moving right in the same spot. And I tried to kill him and wouldn't let me. So I'm like, I'm so confused.
I don't think I tried to. Well, maybe I did.
I kept on trying to go for my hunter instead of my target. Like, you're not getting me.
Yeah, I think that's what I did too. Like your target was the quarry, right? And
maybe that was what it was called.
Yeah,
your
it
quarry.
was confusing me on that part. Like I didn't have anybody telling me anything. There was no directions on anything. I just knew that somebody's a killer, and we got to act like regular people. It didn't say that I was a killer, so I was thinking I got to act like a non-playable character. So I'm just walking around, I'm getting those dots, and I notice it doesn't say exposed, and then all of a sudden it does say exposed, but there's other people. Like, it confused me, So I did not enjoy this game.
You probably would have had a lot more
If
fun.
if you understood the mechanics of the computer, I think you would have liked it a lot.
Yeah. It looked awesome.
It is a gorgeous
game. Sure, if I knew how to play it, the game would be awesome because you don't have to rely on the team as much because sometimes team-based games suck because you can never find people who want to play like-minded with you. You know what I mean? So this game is really kind of just go kill the person you got to go kill
for themselves anyway.
So once you figure it out, it's probably really fun. But and I only
that
got
is
8 minutes. I'm
unfortunate
not really going to say this is a bad game by any means. I got 8 minutes with it, and they loved it. They come off smiling. I come off pissed. I said, nah, because I lost. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I lost. The game sucks. But no, it doesn't suck. It looked great. I think it stayed busy the entire weekend.
Yeah.
We walked by it and wanted to play it, and there was always a line. And then when we finally had time to play it, we could not find the damn thing. They were convinced that it had packed up and moved.
We were convinced it was gone.
I argue with them. I was like, I don't think it's gone.
They left early.
It's just here.
Yeah.
Funny enough, it was the last booth that I played before I walked out. And I was just like,
Did you get to play it then?
No, I just looked at it and I was like, that's that game that I wanted to play.
Yeah, we said that all week. We said it all weekend.
All week we kept passing by it. We're like, when the line gets shorter.
We found it by accident every time and we would get in line. I think I got in line twice.
I think I saw it 10 times today until we wanted to go to the game.
And then
but they moved. They moved. They packed
Did you
up
not
and left.
use the app?
I did.
We did. I had
and
to
that's
look
where
up.
it got even worse because we were like, we probably circled it several times.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, Discord, and then Twitch, and if we get Alienware, we've gone too far because we're looking at, and then we got to Alienware, and I'm like, see, I told you, they're gone. And then we finally go to the other side of Alienware and turn around and go, oh.
There they are, right there.
You didn't have your navigator.
I didn't.
Yep,
see,
we didn't have our navigator.
He was sitting on the dock of the bay.
Sitting on the dock of the bay. All right, I'm sorry. No,
it was a fun game.
It was. I mean, I can't say. I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just saying that
you had a rough experience because you were unfamiliar with the controls.
A bad experience.
Like me with Super Daryl Deluxe.
Or what the goal of the game was.
you played it on the Switch.
Yeah, I played it on an unfamiliar console. It might have been different if I was playing it on PlayStation 4, where I was a little bit more familiar with the controls I was after. I wasn't comfortable with the handheld Switch.
Right.
It's not familiar to me yet.
And to be honest, if you handed me a controller, I don't know that I would have done any better. I would have moved sooner, probably.
Well, again, that if you were explained what the whole goal of the game was, it would have been.
That's all I needed to know was the goal. Like, I kind of
I knew to ask though. Like, I went while we were waiting in line. I looked at Dev and I'm like, "So what are we doing?"
Yeah.
Or one of them, because there were several people working that booth. So,
no, the thing
but
is,
that main Dev, he just stood between us the entire time,
did.
pretty
He
much
did do that.
letting
sit
us
down,
know.
They talk to them because they're all just like us that play the games. They're nerds, and we don't get women enough. As soon as a woman sits
I do
down,
kind of want to ask: were we the only women in that group?
I think.
Yeah, I didn't even
No,
notice
there was
that.
there was one young girl. No, that was a guy.
Because the cynic in me wants to go, what, you didn't think the two chicks would figure out how to play the PC game?
Yeah, I was,
or what you said, maybe like, oh, they don't come around enough. Hi.
You know? That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. You know?
Because I was going to think like he was going to go around and kind of coach everybody like most of them have been doing.
I thought he'd
but I was like,
eventually.
he's literally hanging out with us the entire time.
I think y'all also sit front and center in those two main streams.
That is true.
I'm pretty sure he sat there all day, and that's probably how that went.
Maybe there were supposed to be other devs manning your station, and
they were
eating
packing up
Chips
too.
Ahoy,
I mean,
because why
this
not?
was
They were everywhere.
5 minutes before time to go. They literally were like,
Yeah,
hey,
we were the last group.
They're
We're
like, guys,
closing
this
up
is the
shop.
last game
You
you
are
are
it.
playing at PAX right
Yeah.
now.
Fair enough. All right.
So I don't know. I say it's a go. I don't know how much it is
I
or
would
anything like that. 'Cause we were
absolutely
trying to
play
get out
it.
of their
I
life.
would get it. I would get it and play the crap out of it.
If it was on PS4, I would play it again. If I
What,
had
what
good
was it
internet.
called again, real quick?
Murderous Pursuit.
Murderous Pursuit. So look
The
for it on
developer
PC.
It's not.
It comes out April 16th. D told
Oh,
us.
here's
It's
actually
like,
this is the closed beta on April 16th.
It launches on April 26th.
I
yeah.
was close. So,
So
it's this month.
closed
that it
beta
launches.
right now. Murderous
But
Pursuit.
the closed beta is only through the 9th. So
We got a
it's-
code
Yeah.
for you.
We have
Yeah.
a code if you want to play
Today,
it. 2 days ago.
Yeah.
when you're listening to this, if you want to play this game right now, we
You
can
want to
get
play?
you a code.
Go to our Twitter and find this code.
Right?
Yes.
Post it for a limited time. Mm-hmm. We won't even tell you what the game
Super
is.
Mega Crash.
Super Mega
on Twitter.
Crash, Murderous Pursuit. You will love
I
this
guess you can play
8-player
it
game.
for, depending on where you are in the States, for a couple hours, 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
4 hours.
Wait, is it over with today?
No, it'll be when everyone's listening to this. That's the last day.
Oh yeah, April 6th
So,
to 9th.
but April
Never mind what I
26th.
said about that because you don't want to play this while you're at work.
But this would be a fun party game. Definitely an online game, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would
Yeah,
be
oh,
something
yeah.
unique.
It's the 8 players is perfect size too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think 10 players. Maybe I don't know. 8 players is a good number though. I think.
Yeah, it's good. All right, Lace, what do you got?
Well, the only other game that I can think of off the top of my head outside of the one VR game, which we can tuck away to later, was Projection First Light. What drew me to that one is I had played a game that to me had some similar mechanics to it. Obviously, it was a little bit different, but Contrast
Yes.
by Compulsion Games. In that one, it was the same thing where you certain aspects of the game you had to manipulate light, turn yourself into a shadow so you could overcome certain obstacles. This game is that 100% through and through. So it is a puzzle. And the entire time you're playing this character that's walking along. And I noticed I had to collect butterflies. I'm not sure I really got the
Yeah, I was
story or
curious
anything
about
yet.
that.
I think it's
because
I
there
had
was
to
no
go do my
dialogue
VR
or
thing.
anything.
I only
But
got one butterfly, but I didn't know.
I found 3 of the 5.
I
I
saw
was a little
th- I
disappointed
saw
because I tried
them.
to get on all the high points. So I was pretty confident before it was over that I had found all the butterflies, But you have a light that you're navigating with your right joystick, and the left joystick obviously is moving your character, and you have to move that light behind all of these objects to create a way to get up over the obstacles and discover what's going on. So very simple gameplay, I hate to say simple because until I was having a hard time remembering up, down, left, right when I was going behind certain objects.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get stuck in the shadow too. So if the shadow, you
Y-
put
you
it
can't
up over
move.
your character, you can't move.
Yep.
Or if the challenge becomes when you're up high on something, and you're, let's call an inch wide, whatever it probably is in the game world, a foot. If you're trying to push that shadow up so you can get up somewhere higher, if you accidentally get out from behind the object that's cast in the shadow, you're plummeting
Yep.
into the water to your death or missing that thing and you got to start it all over again. I don't have a whole lot to say about it because that was pretty much the entire demo portion that I played was manipulating this light and getting it over there. I can't say that I really know what the story itself is going to be. He did mention, the dev, that it's about a year out from getting released. So you're probably not even going to see it till 2019 sometime, maybe this time next year. So I would be interested to see it when I get more of a concept of what the story is to it. I like the mechanics and I like how different it looked. I liked the graphic style,
Art
the way it was
style.
drawn.
Yeah, the art style
was
is
It looked like the little
fantastic,
shadow
yeah.
box with the little puppet on a wire. Like
Yeah.
you move it along like
Right,
that.
right. That's exactly what it
really
looked
cool,
like. Yeah. And the only color was really the backdrop, like what you would, I guess, look into the horizon
Yeah.
and everything
Like
else.
a
is,
yellowish orange.
That's where the light
Yeah.
came from, right? Was back
It's like
there.
a
or-
That
sun.
you're probably
Did it come
right.
from
That
the
was what
front?
was causing
Can't
it.
remember.
That was like a little mini sun.
Was it?
Yeah. That.
That you're manipulating.
Yeah.
Probably. Might
But
be.
this is the first type of game I've played the same time with Laceya. I've never played a game like this before, so it took me a bit to kind of figure out. I had no idea what to do in the beginning till the dev came over and kind of gave me some hints.
It was the
And,
same thing as Murderous
yeah.
Pursuit.
So,
It
but
wasn't
then,
fun, was it? Until
well, I was
you-
just like, wait, what am I doing? I can't jump over this. What's happening? But and then you have to make the shadow. I'm like, and then once they start figuring it out, I'm like, oh, this is like challenges your mind, makes you think. You have to play around. I'm like, but this is actually really relaxing to me. Like, it was satisfying to me. I'm like, I wanted to play more of it. It actually really relaxed me the entire time. And I loved the whole color scheme and everything. And I would like to understand the story a little bit better with the like the tribal men.
Like I think they were trying to go into it a little bit there too.
Yeah.
Like where it had it seemed like a little, we'll call it an army. It was like 4 or 5. And I'm assuming it was like the queen.
Yep.
And it looked like the rest of them had followed whatever her order was. And then there was the one defiant one that went up to that's how I interpreted it. And then punished that one. All right, fine. And walked off the other way, So I'm sure you're going to delve into more of that storyline probably as you progress to find out what that whole little interaction might have even been about or how you even fit into this world. And if I was supposed to have figured that out already, I apologize. And then it went over my head and then I don't know what was going on because they might be, if they listen, be like, it was clearly this. How did she not? So I apologize if I missed that. But, yeah, interesting. I don't know how long the game would take. I feel like that would be another short, maybe 4 to 5 hour game, honestly. It'd be a fun little pickup.
Yeah, it definitely looked like it would be something that it wouldn't be a long game. The usual indie
Even Contrast was only about 4 to 5 hours start to end, so.
All right, well, let me see what I have next. I have a few left that I'd played. I'll talk about Star Child. Star Child was the PSVR game that I got to play, where I kind of mentioned Moss the other day, I believe. I don't know if I mentioned that on the podcast or not.
Yeah, you did. Wait, I don't even know.
It reminded me of that in the sense that it was projecting you into a VR environment where you see everything around you. The character you're playing is there, but it's almost like they're trying to take. This could easily have been a basic concept 2D platformer type game, and they just said, you know what? Let's take it a step farther and let's put you into a VR world so you can see everything around it. I'm not saying that's a bad idea. But this could have, so far from what I could see, it could have easily worked as a 2D game. Just based on the platforming elements they provided, because nothing about it screamed, this needs to be in VR to really, make the experience work. But I liked that I was in VR, that I could see this platformer in an entirely different light because it made it more thematic in certain elements, especially at the end, because it was kind of a short demo, and I'd kind of watched a few people play it beforehand. I think there were like 2 people before me, so I
feel like I looked right and then I looked left and you were done.
Yeah, because it was, they start you off with a basic, a ship flies in, and then it goes down into this chamber, and you can kind of look around and all the stuff that's going on, so it immerses you into the world, and then as soon as the character comes out, then you can control her, and you start going through this level. And at first I was thinking that it was like you had free reign to walk everywhere, but it was on the rails pretty much. So you can go left, you can go right, and you just kind of move in that direction. Of course, everything around you seems so immersive. Like you feel like you should be able to go out, but I feel like it's a smart move not to allow you to do that, because then you would be all over the map and you'd never get anywhere. So they keep you directed in the where you need to go. And it's kind of a puzzle platformer because you get to this one spot and then you've got to you activate like a little orb robot, and then you can kind of connect these wires to a connection. It'll energize whatever it was in the area, I can't remember, and then you just kind of move on until you encounter I think it was like a giant bug, and then whatever you activated with that robot activates like a larger robot, and it slams its hand down like to protect you from this giant insect that was trying to get you, and then it just kind of puts its hand down like, come to me, and then it'll raise you up to its chest, and then that's kind of the final shot of the demo is you just standing in front of it. So it's almost like the purpose of the VR is to just make it more cinematic and more engaging, because it could work. Like I said, as a 2D platformer as is, it would work. no problem. But having that extra layer, that extra dimension, it really sucks you in a little bit more, and I like that, And if more games want to do that, I'm all for it. I really like that.
Yeah.
So Star Child is definitely one I would want to play more of. In fact, when it ended, I was like, I want to play more of this, and I got to go now. Damn. So I'm definitely interested in playing it. Beth, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about the other VR game I played called The Persistence.
Okay.
It's on PlayStation. I loved it.
Okay.
So it looks like you're pretty much in this, I don't know, like the spacecraft, I guess, and the zombies on it.
Okay.
And I wasn't quite sure what I was getting myself into. I knew it was going to be like creepy thriller type, VR game, and I just wanted to scare the crap out of myself. And it was awesome. I loved it. So you go in and you have to, you search everything, you explore everything, and you find these like trinkets everywhere, and they're like weapons. I couldn't really understand what the weapons were. You have to read the description. It doesn't really have give you like clues or anything, but it was very sci-fi-ish. Yeah, and so I ended up building a weapon, and you have this like shield so you can like block against the zombie attacks, but you can also do stealth kills in this too.
Nice.
And I was determined to get at least one stealth kill, and I did it. I was pumped, and my guide or the VR guy or whatever, he was like hyping me up so much. I freaking loved him. He was awesome.
You scared the hell out of him.
I did. I got scared, and I jumped, and apparently he jumped too.
You screamed. He said, "Ah!" and he jumped.
But you get these weapons, and you can upgrade your weapons at these little stations. And each weapon has for one of them I loved, it was like a serum, and you can shoot the zombie with it, and it can become your ally. And he gets a little heart over his head, and he follows you around. But it creeped me out so bad. He's behind me going the entire time, and I'm like, oh my god, is this like the one that's trying to get me, or like it? And it was really cool. And there's like fast moving zombies. So you're pretty much killing the zombies, upgrading your weapons, and trying to progress from there. I had a blast. I was a little nervous because it was dark, and you have to look around a lot in order to see where you're going, so I thought it was going to make me motion sick. And it didn't at all. I don't know if it's maybe the new VR headset that they have, but I was like totally forgot that I was even in VR, I guess, if that makes any sense.
That's probably what you're aiming for. I
Yeah.
hope. That's what you want VR to do.
Exactly.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. And I thought it was a really fun game. It brought that like thriller intensity that I wanted, and the audio and like the placement and everything. It was awesome. It was fantastic. I wanted to play more. It did scare the crap out of me. I got a bunch of jump scares out of it. I feel satisfied with that.
I thought it was cool. The zombies still looked like your crewmates,
Yeah, and they
still
looked creepy. I got up and close personal just because I wanted to see the fine details to see if it really was freaky. And they looked like they looked at you like dead in your eyes, and they're like soulless. It was freaky. I loved it.
I tried to go back and play it, but I knew we wouldn't have enough time, so
fair enough.
I didn't do it.
Well, you played one though too, didn't you?
Yeah, I played Killing Floor, but remember he came to when you were doing Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
He said, "Do y'all want to play anything else? Because we'll get you in." And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to do the Persistent." And when I went down there was already 2 on standby, and we didn't have enough time to.
They gave 20 minutes for that one.
Yeah, it was 20 minutes a piece.
Yeah.
And it was already 5:00. That
Not to be a dick or anything, but isn't it the Resistance?
No, it's the Persistent.
Persistence.
Are you sure?
I thought that's what it said.
Yeah,
Because for some reason in my head I'm seeing Resistance.
I don't remember.
Let me see.
I didn't stare at the
I thought-
title. I think
Because I
Maybe
want
it's in my app.
I don't know.
I put the Persistence.
Then it might be. I don't know. For some reason in my head I'm seeing Resistance. I don't know why.
You could be right.
I want to make sure that we're reporting this correctly. Somewhere in my head that's what I'm seeing.
They didn't let us anymore.
And it probably said
So-
closed.
Yeah, no sessions available. So
Oh shit.
Well,
I mean, just for the
Go to your
wanna say
itinerary.
Beth is
No,
right,
no,
though. I
still
feel like I
doesn't say it.
remember seeing a P.
just for the
Google.
just for the sake of the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's make sure we got it right.
You know.
The Persistence game PS for PlayStation.
Okay. The Persistence. Fine.
Thank God.
I'm so wrong. I'm glad that.
Oh wait, is this the game you played?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, the Persistence.
I don't know why the Resistance. Maybe I was
Because
just.
the way they
Maybe
had
you're
it
thinking
on
of
there,
this or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
the way they had it on there was they had that big dude right in front of the thing. He was.
Yeah.
he
Maybe
probably
I
came
just
over-
was seeing just the right amount of letters, and I was like, cool.
I kept seeing no more heroes on that. No
You
heroes
did.
here. Every
Yeah.
time
I could
looked
see,
at it,
but
was
I
like,
could see why it was like no. What was it?
no
more-
heroes here.
No heroes here.
And I kept thinking every time I seen say no more heroes in my head, I would get excited and want to tell you they got no more heroes right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
But no, they don't.
it's no heroes here.
It just one little word and it throws everything off, but it's so similar. So.
Damn words.
Yeah, you probably should make your title just stand out a little bit more.
Just
when
a
you got
little
game
bit.
like that so
Yeah.
close to it.
Todd, did you have anything? Anything else?
No. I kind of just.
You just kind of
watched.
observed.
Yeah, I did that all week. I like doing that.
Okay.
I feel like I.
I just want to make sure that I'm not passing you up if we're going around any more games.
No, I just watched a lot of stuff. Like I watched that Stay. I watched. There was a game right there. I watched you play. Well, you'll probably talk about it in a minute.
Well, let her talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it, that 1979
Well, maybe she don't want to
Revolution.
talk about that right now. Whatever you want to talk about. Lacey, what did you have next?
Like I feel like I played so many games today. Like I could just go on forever. But yeah, I did play 1979 Revolution because I like story-rich games. I like those that flaunt itself as having choices that matter. And so I was like, I think you were still playing.
I was in the VR game when you were doing
Well,
that. Yep.
Okay. But so I walked over there, and it's very much in the vein of like the Telltale style adventure games, story rich. So, but this one, they had it in 1979. I think it was, I'm going to get it wrong. Like, I don't even want to say because I can't remember
It
now.
looked like
'cause my-
Syria or something.
That's what I wanted to say because I know it's overseas over there, and it was during their revolution.
Yeah.
So, like in the first chapter, you have your own character. That in the very first scene, it's like the government or the police or whatever it is coming to the door, and the first thing I have to do is hide all of my secrets or find all of the government secrets or intel that I must have stolen. I messed up because I didn't know what the mechanics quite were, and I was supposed to like keep clicking on a button when I was, the cop was trying to arrest me, and I didn't. I hit it once, and I got arrested. I think that was going to happen anyway, because the next scene is me getting interrogated by this guy. Yes.
Iran.
Thank you. It's like I was going to say Iraq or Iran, but I was just like, no, then, they'll tear me apart for it. Sorry. It's been a long day. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I don't think there's anything extremely new or groundbreaking to how the game itself plays, but I'm a sucker for a really good story, so I'm still gonna recommend it because I would like to play that story out. I do kind of like, I think I only played first 3 chapters. Again, it looked like it was another one that could have just let you keep going on forever, but I didn't want to be there that long. And looks like they built some really nice characters there. You could choose whether you're going to go along with spreading this propaganda from one of your buddies, because I think I'm a photographer is what you find out, because you kind of go back in time after you were arrested and interrogated and all this kind of stuff. Because at first he was like, remember my name, and I kept saying no, and then he knocked me over and I'm like, no, and we did this back and forth, and I'm like, I'm going to be a badass and something really cool is going to happen, and then I died. And then I had to go
Life
back and
lesson
just
right there.
agree to remember a dude's name as he was being intimidating. So I was like, oh, I thought I was shaping my own future here. But that's fine. But the nice little camaraderie going on there. So you can decide whether you want to play along with his propaganda. He gives you a tape. Do you want to take the tape, or are you going to play the tape? We were taking pictures of whatever festivities were going on out there. But yeah, like I said, I don't think anything groundbreaking or absolutely new out of the way that the game itself plays out. But the story had me. I'd like to go back and at least finish the story for sure. I think he said it's already out on PlayStation.
I mean, considering there are reviews, I would hope so.
Yeah. I mean, they got great reviews and pretty much just saying the same thing. Great story by great characters.
Graphics look nice.
The graphics were nice, but it did kind of remind me of like how Telltale was drawn. Maybe a little bit upgraded. Well, at least let's put it this way: upgraded from like Telltale's Walking Dead, like seasons 1, 2, 3. I know you said it took a hike because you guys got to see that. But I would say a little bit upgraded from that, but in that same vein of how it was drawn, to give it that feel. But yeah, I mean, I don't got anything really bad to say about it. I think I would like to see that story through.
Very cool. All right. Well, since you brought that up, I'll talk about the game I was playing while you were playing that. There was a booth standing right next to it. Happened to clear out. And it was for a little indie game called Pig Eat Ball. And I wasn't...
That ball.
Pig Eat Ball. And I was like, this seems weird. And the guy, the developer was standing there and he's like, this is a game that either you can enjoy or you're going to walk away from. So just understand that up front. And I was like, okay. Because in the simplistic form of what it's supposed to be based on, it'll hook you because it's kind of a homage to Pac-Man.
That's what I thought.
But at the same time, there are a lot of gross elements to it that would make you go, ooh, I don't want to play this. Because you're a pig, obviously, and you got to eat ball. So there are balls laying around, and they'll kind of, lay it out for you. Huh?
They were tennis balls.
Kind of, yeah. So you'll go around, and your character's kind of inhaling at all times while you're moving around. In a way, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Hungry
so
pig.
you're always inhaling, and you've got to collect the balls. And in certain areas, it might differ how the objective is. Like you just need to collect all the balls, or it'll say you need to collect 7 in a certain time frame. So it just really depends on what the rules of the level are at the time. There's even some where you actually have a certain amount of hits you can only take. So the challenges do increase. He said the farther into levels you go, it can get harder. It can get more challenging. So the puzzle elements do get more difficult. You just have to be aware of that. So as you collect the balls, you increase in size. And then if you try to go through a section, you're going to be stuck because it'll be very narrow and you can't fit through. So
Pig spitball now?
Pig regurgitates ball with vomit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, okay.
So the ball will come out and you have to recollect that ball because that will be one of the balls you need. So you have to get it out of your system and then get it back.
That's a cool little mechanic, though, if you think about it.
So that's something you have to keep in mind as you're doing that, because sometimes that will kind of come into play to how the level design is. Because if you need to get something over into another area, but you need to get over there to, I guess, kind of initiate what you need to do, you have to think about, okay, if I do this, is this going to add more time? Is this going to add an extra move? If I regurgitate over this way and spit that ball out that way, I have to think about the element of the puzzle that's being presented to me. Because out of all the times I played, I got a lot of bronze medals. I think I got 1 gold and maybe 2 silver out of the entire thing, just to kind of give you a sense of the time and effort it took, for how these puzzles went. So I thought I was doing okay, but the game didn't think so. So I was like, all right, fine. But again, it was first time playing, so I was trying to get an understanding of it. It was really fun, just the puzzle element to it. I'd really like to have a little bit more time to sit down and really focus on it and really have... It's one of those that you want to play through one time and kind of get a sense of that level and then go back and see if you can beat your score. It's like, okay, I got it now. I know how the mechanics of this level works. I'm going to go back and I'm going to top that, and I'm going to do it better. And there were even elements, I think, in one of the very first levels that were almost identical to Pac-Man. Like the level was set up with a ball laid out in a maze, and there were ghosts chasing you. Of course, they didn't look like Pac-Man ghosts, but they were colored like them, but they looked a little bit creepier and stuff like that. So you just kind of navigating, collecting the balls. And I didn't realize this at first, but the developer told me, he said, if you regurgitate on them, which I did one, and it was kind of funny, it just looks like, like it's freaking out that you just threw up on it. And they said if you pay attention to it, it will turn blue, and then you can go eat that ghost, just like you can in Pac-Man. I was like, that is awesome. So that's another element to pay attention to, because I know that there was like a little roach or something in one of the levels that was trying to like attack me, and I know I regurgitated on him, and he's just sitting there looking at me like, "What did you do?" So little animations like that really kind of made that fun.
It looked fun when I walked up.
Yeah. It's something I definitely want to try out again. Now, right now, I think he said that it's in a Kickstarter phase, but it's not on Kickstarter. It's on a site called Fig, if I'm not mistaken. So he's looking to get it funded, make sure that it can get out there. He's aiming for PC, and I do believe that he was talking to someone behind me and said, you know, they're like, is it going to be on Xbox? It's going to be on PS4. And he said, that's the dream. You know, he wants to get it there. So I think this game could be something. I think it could really take off if it gets the right funding. I kind of hope it does.
Yeah, it looked fun. It had some multiplayer modes, too.
It did, yeah. I got to play the adventure mode because I was the only one there at the time. But there were other people playing kind of like it was kind of like a battle royale mode in a sense.
Was
you know,
4
just
people or 3 people?
4, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was like just a map, and you were kind of I didn't really know what the mechanics were that they were doing. I'm not really sure. I don't know if they were competing like Hungry Hippos, trying to collect all the balls in enough time and trying to get them out of everybody, because that's another thing too that was a challenge in the adventure mode. Is say you were tasked to collect 7 balls, and if by chance in this area you're trying to collect the balls but you get hit, one thing that happens is if you get hit, your character automatically goes into like a regurgitation mode. It doesn't spit the ball out immediately, but it's kind of like on a timer, like he's going to throw up eventually. So if you're in that mode, you need to make sure. I realized this like in one of those moments. I was like, well, let me just collect these balls real quick, and I won't have to lose them again, because if he spits them out, you have to go recollect them. So, and that'll cut down on your time. So that added a challenge too. So that's something to think about when you're kind of presented with that. You need to make sure that if you get hit, you're going to spit this up. So you need to make sure you're aiming at somewhere where it's not going to get out of your reach or something like that. It was really well designed the way it was done. So I was impressed by it. I'd like to play it again.
Yeah, it looked fun.
Beth, you got any more games? By chance? Maybe? Because if you don't...
I don't think so. Hang on, let me look. No, that's it.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Lace, what else did you have?
You know, like, I played a few more that I didn't delve into too much, so I wouldn't really feel totally comfortable in, like, telling it. I know I played Coma, which is by Serenity Forge. I think it's cute. I think you should just take a look at it.
I
It'll
watched
get
her
an
play
honorable
that,
mention.
and that looks so fun. I would love to play that game.
It was adorable.
Yeah.
And it was wittily done for their dialogue and the gameplay, so I recommend that. And the other one that I'm looking forward to that's about to be in Kickstarter phase is Boyfriend Dungeon, Level Up Your Love.
Sword Smoocher.
Oh my
Sword
God.
Smoocher, beautiful
Best
weapons
shirt
to
ever.
romance with your with unique personalities, procedurally generated dungeons, and varied combat styles with each weapon, inclusive male, female, and non-binary romance. And precious memories created with your lovers can save your life in the dungeon. And what I like is that you're romancing with your weapons. And it looks like the most wonderful kind of ridiculous thing that could ever happen. And I hope they get the funds to make it, because I've never played a dating sim game, but I want to play a sim where I romance with weapons. I want to.
What was that T-shirt?
Sword Smoochers.
Sword Smoocher.
With the heart and the swords
Yeah,
going through
swords.
the heart.
Yeah,
I want it.
there you go.
It's such a double entendre. It's not even.
Yeah.
So good.
Right. But I did play the Rick and Morty VR, which was fun. I didn't get to play a whole lot of it, 'cause apparently you're only allowed like 10 minutes into
10 or
it, because he
15,
eventually said, yeah, this is all we're allowed to show you.
That was probably the most popular VR game there. I
Was
think.
it?
For the
I just picked
PlayStation
it because
booth.
I didn't want anything like jumping at
Right.
me and making me scared. I need VR I need to ease into it in a
Yeah.
very chill way. And,
Well, you picked
and
a
Rick
good
and
one, I
Morty
think.
seemed like to be a good one. And it's the first time I can honestly say that I've sat in a VR thing, or stood in VR, whatever the hell. And it was actually clear. So maybe it was just the first time someone let me like adjust the headset, so it
That's
wasn't
one
like I was
thing.
looking through a screen door.
Being able to move that thing frontwards and backwards.
And it was light, like you said, so much lighter than the other ones that I tried. And I thought it was just hilarious that Rick and Morty are like right here in your face, just staring at you like you're a complete dumbass.
Yeah, their
you were
facial
this
expressions were
creation that they
killing me.
made,
Oh my
and
God.
so you could do chores for them.
Yeah.
And so you were learning how to do laundry, which I'm so glad the guy kind of tapped me and he said, "Hey, before you put the detergent in the laundry, pretend like you're going to drink it. And so I did. And then my character started throwing up. And when I realized that I was like projectile vomiting, I made sure to add direct it towards Rick and Morty, who they in turn started to freak out that I threw up on him. I finished the laundry and then he killed me.
The guy who was guiding you, he came over,
like
he asked me,
Rick.
he's like, do you want to make her throw up? And I was like, no, I don't want to make her sick. He's like, no, do you want to make her throw up in the VR? I'm like, oh yeah, go ahead. So then when he told you to drink the detergent.
I was just like, I don't think that I would have done that. And apparently I just kept turning and moving too much because he had to keep redirecting me because it would get to the point where like my hand would just all of a sudden disappear. And I'm like, apparently I was facing, and he's like, now I'm going to turn you this way because you're getting caught in the cords. I'm like, I didn't even feel like I was moving, to be fair.
That's with every VR game. You do not realize you're moving.
But yeah, I mean, it was cute. It was colorful. It was really interesting for me to finally be sitting in a VR that like wasn't making me sick or like I'm looking through a screen door. Like, I've only watched Rick and Morty a handful of times, but now I just want to play that game because I just kind of want to sit around in that little world because it's so bright and colorful and cartoony, and just like it would be fun to be immersed in it.
I absolutely want to play that.
That's pretty much all there was to the demo that I got to play, but it was fun.
And of course, drinking laundry soap is just your cup of tea.
Isn't it? Oh.
Jesus. That's why we had to put a bullet in your head.
Not again. But yeah, I think that's everything I played or that I remember enough to talk about.
You know what that means, don't you?
Well, I've got 2 more games that I played.
Well, hurry up.
Well, goddammit, just let me finish, and then we'll finish the show.
I bet I know one of them is Minit.
Yes, Minit. Minit actually came out recently. I think it came out last week, I want to say.
I think you're right, yes.
I know it's a very recent release. I kind of heard about it on the fly. You know, it's just one of those that just kind of blipped on the radar, and I was like, okay, I'm curious to see what it is because it's got a very simple design. It almost looks like it could have been like an old Game Boy game.
Say that, yeah.
You know, just a very simple black and white, you know, old school design. But the premise of the game is very interesting because you start off in this little house and you're just this little unassuming caricature. I mean, it's not even a human, it doesn't look like. But you start searching around this area, and eventually you find a sword. And I found this out later on, and it made more sense as to why the game is what it is. You find a sword, and at that moment, a timer shows up at the top left-hand portion of the screen, and it gives you 60 seconds. And then eventually that 60 seconds is going to run out, and you die. And the sword apparently is cursed. So when that happens, I mean, since you have this sword now, you're able to explore the world around you, but every 60 seconds you're going to die. So what you have to do at that point is you have to figure out what you need to do before those 60 seconds are up that can help you advance further into the area. So you'll find a guy off to a lighthouse, and this was such a dick joke, you know, that I hope they don't do it again because you're going to die. You're going to die at this point. Everyone that you ever encounter, they talk really fast, and you can just kind of read their text, and you just keep going. You don't have to engage them. You just have to get near them and be like I ran up on one guy, and he's like, you grab that cursor? And I'm like, yep. And I just kept going. You get to the lighthouse, there's a turtle. And he's like, oh, hey, how are... And his text moves so slow. He's like, you got to be shitting me.
Painful.
I'm going to...
Fast forward? Like,
No, you have to sit there the entire time. And
They did that on purpose.
They did that on purpose.
Yeah.
So once he's done, it's like, well, I'm going to die. So I'll just let that happen.
When you die, do you start all over? Or do you start from
You
right
start
there?
back from the house. But anything that you collect from that point on is collected.
Right.
So it's almost like a Groundhog Day type scenario, but everything that you've learned or gained at that time comes with you. So as I'm playing, I found a water can, and I wasn't sure what to make of that. But there was a field right to the left of the house. And I said, okay, well, water can, there's a field, and it looks like a garden, so I'm just going to pour water on it. And a plant started to sprout. I was like, all right, cool. But I couldn't do anything more than that, so the next time I died, I went back out there with that, did it again, it grew more. So I was like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this. There's a pattern to this. There's something going on. So I kept searching the areas. I kept searching. There was a bar nearby, and there was a guy who says, business used to be booming around here if it wasn't for these dang crabs. And I was like, crabs? And he mentioned 5 of them. And I was like, I remember seeing 2, so I bet you there's 3 more around. I went around, killed, the 2 crabs I saw, found 3 more, Killed them, went back there. He gave me a coffee cup. Didn't know what that meant. I died. Started back, found out that the coffee cup allowed me to...
Get coffee.
No, it gave me energy to move boxes. That's what it was. So there was an area that had a key, so I was able to move a box, grab the key, and then that led me to another area to unlock, which led... Oh, it was the key to the lighthouse. And there... it allowed me to collect a flashlight, which I could take down into a dark cave that I saw earlier that you couldn't see, anything. And it's apparently covered in snakes. Yay! So once I had the flashlight and knew where the cave was, and as you continue the loop, you remember where everything's at. So you just try to make it a habit. It's like, all right, I know where I got to go this time. So this is where I got to go. And this is where I got to do. And you just keep that going until it gets to completion and you're figuring out this puzzle through the 60-second increments. And this was definitely a demo because the last thing you find the demo. And it's like, awesome. And what they do, just to kind of mess with you in this sense, is I guess they put you into like 2-3 second spurts of other portions of the game. So it's like you teleport here and it's like, oh, what am I doing? Oh, and then you're here and then you're in another part of the game and then another part of the game. And it was just quick. And it was like, that was the game. It was like, okay, cool.
Oh, wow.
So they gave you the demo of the entire game, at the end, which I thought was kind of clever.
That's cool.
So it's definitely something I would like to check out more of because I liked the idea that it's definitely a game that you don't have to sit down and play in one spurt because this is something you could do for a little while. Just, again, 60 seconds. You can go around, you can find something, whatever you got to do for the next thing. So you want to do it for another minute, keep going, and then if you're done, you can just say, I'll come back to it. And put it down. Yeah, and it'll save it, and you can go back to wherever you were. So I like that. It's for those. It could easily be a casual game that anyone could play. I don't really feel like it would work on a mobile platform. And
Don't say that because they'll try to.
I'm sure they could, but like you were saying,
Challenge
where
accepted.
they put those fake ass,
Sticks.
control sticks. Yeah, I don't think it would work, but. It's definitely something you can just kind of pick up and go. I think it would be perfect for the Vita. I don't even think it's for the Vita.
Probably not.
But it would be perfect for that. Something on the go.
But you never know when it could be a cross-buy.
Yeah, who knows. But that was one game that I played. And the last game that I played for the entire day, and it was one that kind of caught my eye, but I didn't think about it. And I just happened to walk by there and no one was playing. So I thought, what the hell, I'll try it. It was called Black Future 88. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
It reminded me, in the sense when it comes to controls, like Hotline Miami. In the sense that when I started to fill out the controls, that's how it felt like that game. Even the design kind of came off like that because it had that retro feel to it, that 80s vibe to it, where it was kind of techno and whatnot. But it was a side scroller. But you move with your left stick and you shoot and aim with your right stick, and that's where it was starting to feel a little bit more Hotline Miami-ish. But it had its own uniqueness to it. You play for a little while and eventually it'll cut itself off, I guess, after you get so far into the game. But I was kind of digging it. I kind of liked what they were doing with it. It was a very unique platformer, shooter style kind of game. I like the design of it, so I would like to play more of it. I don't mean this in a hateful way, like I wouldn't buy this day one like it was a bad game. I don't feel like it was a bad game. I just don't know if it would. I wouldn't immediately just go, yeah, I gotta have this. It was fun, but maybe I'll play it at some point. Just it's not a day one buy for me, but it might be for somebody else. But it was fun. All right, that's all the games I have. Everybody else is done with their games. So I'm going to ask real quick before we get into anything else, what was the biggest surprise at PAX East for you? Todd, you start first.
The biggest surprise was Evergate.
And why is that?
I don't know, I watched it. I didn't even play it, and it just made me want to play it. I still want to play it right now, which I would have played it. It just looked awesome.
Okay, awesome.
looked great. I mean, it's just the art direction was awesome. The actual, I guess, the mechanic of the game was really cool. Kind of, I don't know, refreshing. I guess like just new. You don't really see that a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big surprise. Y'all walked up on it and heard y'all all talking about it, and then I went and seen it. It's great.
Lace, what about you?
I mean, I kind of have to agree with that one, actually. That just kind of like snuck out of nowhere that you know, you're always hoping to find some really great games, and man alive, did we ever. Like, there's so many here. But yeah, I have to say, especially, like, I was just super impressed. This is their first venture into a game, too, and it's so well polished, and it's just like, you can already see that it's just going to be this really great, fully fleshed out, amazing game. And yeah, I think that I can't wait to see it once it's released and get in there. That one definitely shocked me. I wasn't expecting to fall in love with a platformer like that. So
PS4, please.
I'm sure that's a goal.
I'm jumping on the bandwagon saying Evergate, absolutely.
Good job, guys.
Yeah, I am thoroughly impressed, especially because I'm not used to playing that type of game. And like I said, like I wasn't able to go completely through the demo just because I've never really played a game like that before. But it was challenging enough for me. I'm like, I need to play this game. I need to learn it. I need to play it, and it's beautiful. It's visually like just totally sucks me in. I love it.
She would honestly still be trying to get that third G right now.
I would be past it. Come on.
No, we would have gotten her there. But I do have to say, Stay is another one though that I found today that was just a really refreshing, pleasant surprise to come across too, and it made me really sad no one was over there. And they
because they're around every corner. It seems like it's crazy.
And I'm going to agree with the group here. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision. Evergate was the standout because it was such... For me, coming to the show, I wanted to find a game that we hadn't heard of, that was so under the radar that no one knew what it was, and we discover it. You know, we find it and say, wow, this is going to be something. Let's tell everybody about it. Let's bring awareness to this game. And I feel like we're doing that right now because we believe in it. We're not sitting here. They didn't just say, hey, guys, will you do this for us or anything like that. We fell in love with this game so hard, and we believe in it so much. We want people to play it. We want to see these guys achieve.
Buy their game.
Yes, we want to see them achieve such great heights.
This is their first game.
Yeah, imagine what else they can come out with.
What they're going to be able to do once they start to get their footing in this world, man. Like, that's what's really exciting for me.
Yes. And that's and this is a passion project. This is something they pour their heart and soul into with whatever resources they have. They're trying to make the best game possible on a budget, and they're just knocking it out of the park.
They're not trying to get rich. I think they just want to do this for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I mean, isn't that the goal? As long as you're comfortable and doing what you love, you know, that's to me, that's like you've reached it in life.
Absolutely.
And like out of all the devs we talked to too, and don't get me wrong, we talked to a lot of them that were super duper passionate about their projects, but God, did they just have something on their face that really told you like that they were incredibly excited about this and super stoked that people were actually playing it and they did something, you know?
Well, they were engaged with everybody. I heard somebody come over there while you were playing, and one of the developers, I guess I take it that the guy that was there was another developer. And immediately this guy, the developer for Evergate, went to him and was like, hey, what do we do about this, this, and this?
Oh, I think I heard that.
Yeah, he started. The guy was. I think it was about tutorials.
Yeah.
How do we go about putting good tutorials in this game? We're having trouble figuring that out. He said, dynamic tutorials. Let it. Like some people like having tutorials, some people don't. Let the computer determine if they need a tutorial.
Are they struggling?
Oh, I like
if
that.
they're struggling,
That's
it
a
tells
great
them
idea.
this and this. If it doesn't, then it'll just stay away until they need that help.
Yeah.
And I thought that was cool that they're still trying to make this game even better. Of course, they're trying to do that because every time we played it, or y'all played it, they were engaged with y'all immediately. What'd you think? Again, even though they knew y'all already played it and y'all had been there the whole time.
And I think that helps add to the excitement too, because
Yeah.
I felt like I gravitated and wanted to stay at games more when I felt like they were interacting more and really had a passion. I want to be like, you want to hear about my game? Do you want to come check it out? And then you're like, okay. And then I wouldn't have even thought to stop at some of them. But then after I'm listening to them talk and seeing that, and I sit down, I'm like, well, I'm really glad they did because I may not have stopped and played this game otherwise, you know? So.
And their engagement too kind of makes you want. well, not really make you want to do it, but it's almost like they're wanting you to tell you, is there something bad?
Right.
Tell me if there's something wrong.
Constructive feedback.
Yeah.
And they can take it.
Yeah, and
those
they
guys can take
want
it.
to make it better. They want to fix it. And I don't say this like I'm just trying to polish them or anything like that, but there really wasn't anything wrong that I could see. I mean, I think one of you said there were like some minor control issues that you kind of encountered.
No, I mean, because I think when you brought that up, I think that was the only thing that I had asked them too. Is I was like, you might want to consider some way of implementing a tutorial. And I said, unless that's something you already have planned and you just didn't have it in the demo, because again, I don't know what's in the works for later on. I was like, some people that may not understand, because I know even at first, I shot a couple of them. Didn't realize why I was successful, and then a couple of other gems I'm like, but I felt like I'm doing the same thing I just did when I broke those two. And that's when he finally tapped me and says you have to go through or have the gem go through the portal as well, or however you want to articulate it. And I was like, but you're right, if they would have added something like that where it was like I tried like 5 or 6 times and it'd be like, hey, maybe if you did, or however you'd put it in there. That was my only feedback really, that I was just like, if that would have been there, then fantastic. But I mean, I made it through.
Yeah, and so it's the minor little things like that, and I think that's why it's standing out for all of us, because again, we saw a lot of great games, but there was just something about this one that was special. There was something about it that just has got us all hooked on it, and
that's a day one purchase for me.
That doesn't mean that
absolutely.
Not for me,
that's
because
not saying that any of these other games that we talked about, we gushed about a lot of other games. They're really great, but that's got to be our number one. This is a unanimous decision
for sure.
Yeah.
Damn it,
absolutely.
Come to PS4.
Dude,
Like I
stop
said,
plugging
I'm
it.
sure that's the goal. I'm sure.
I'm
that's
just
the
saying, day one, come to PS4.
I know that's what you want, but
Just one copy,
they're
come to my
trying.
house.
How about you get a PC?
Yeah, they're gonna bend over backwards for the one guy in the
Just
group who did
one
not play the
copy.
game.
It's just one. I watched it at least 5 times. I watched her go through the same level 10
I
times.
watched the same level 5 times.
I actually
How
watched
about-
him play the whole thing.
How about you? How about you fund their game and then they'll put it on
Are
PC?
they on Kickstarter?
I doubt it.
I don't know.
Then how can
I
I
don't think
fund them?
I don't know. I'm just saying. You could. You could
It
be.
been up there somewhere.
You could be their publisher, Stark Enterprises, and then just like go down
Stark
there.
Industries.
Stark
It's going to be Stark Industries.
You can't do that.
I can't
That's
do that.
trademarked.
That's bullshit. They're not even really Stark Industries.
Yeah, but
It's a
they could sue
comic
you.
Dude, I
book.
was gonna say they own
Hey,
that.
you're going to be dealing with Disney at that point. You don't want to mess with that. All right. Anyway, but no, Evergate was the big deal for us. A lot of great games though. Loved, if we're talking about it and we talked highly of you, that doesn't mean we didn't love you. That was just our biggest surprise of the entire show.
So-
all right. So
Or is that
do you
it?
have something else?
I was.
Are you going to interrupt me?
I'm sorry. I do that every
Yeah.
show.
What else do you have there,
No,
Todd?
I mean, are you done?
No, I've got one more thing.
Say it.
What are your final thoughts of the PAX East, Todd?
Okay, that's pretty much what I was gonna go about this a different way, but I get to say it now.
Give me your final thoughts,
My final thought is
Jerry Springer.
Detroit become human. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's all you got to say for your
That's all I
final
gotta
thoughts.
say about PAX East. I got to play that game.
Okay, you're gonna help me fuel my argument here. Go ahead.
Well, how am I gonna?
No, I'm not. I'm going last. Keep going.
Anyway, I'm glad that they have PAX East, and I'm glad it's overran with independent, games, just indie games,
Mm-hmm.
But I get to play this game this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't wait for this game to come out. I was really hoping God of War was going to be there too,
Mm-hmm.
but if I had to pick a favorite that I had, not just like the biggest surprise like Evergate, that was my favorite experience, was Detroit Become Human.
Fair enough.
Overall, my feet hurt, my calf muscles hurt, but I would go and I would do it all over again. I ate 7 hot dogs.
7 hot dogs?
Not
What the
really.
hell else did you eat
All
hot
at the same
dogs?
I didn't
time.
really eat 7 hot dogs. One of them was I ate 3 hot dogs. No, 2 hot dogs.
You don't know what
Shit,
you
I
ate.
didn't
Just
even eat a
forget
hot
about the hot
dog.
dogs.
He
He's
had
going off on a
lunch.
tangent.
He had lunch.
2 hot dogs and a hamburger.
So apparently, Detroit Become Human and 2 hot dogs are Todd's favorite things
That's
about
my
that.
experience. God damn it. It was awesome.
All right. So
No,
that's the
seriously,
highlight.
though,
You're
Of,
trying to say $7 hot dogs?
Yeah, it was a $7 hot
Maybe.
dog and some Schweppes. That was delicious ass ginger ale. And you made fun of it. You gonna get you some Schweppes? And I was like,
Because I had
am gonna
reference behind
I am
it.
gonna get some Schweppes. And
I had reference behind it. It was funny to me.
But honestly, though, like as far as my first PAX, it was awesome. I really didn't know what to expect, but I guess it was way above what I thought.
Now you know.
Now I know. The more I know.
I'm not adding that in. I ain't got time.
I just wanted to say it because it was pretty cool. But yeah. And you're going last, so I imagine you have to argue. with me.
Yeah. Beth,
I'm going to argue. Do I get the rebuttal to what you
maybe,
say?
maybe not. We'll see. Beth, what do you?
I
What
can
was?
say it.
We're
You're
already
gonna
at
cut
Yeah.
Shut the
4
fuck-
hours for this podcast.
Shut up. Let her talk.
Go.
This is the longest damn show we've had this weekend.
My final thoughts about PAX is I don't know. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I've talked to a lot of people who've been several times, all different experiences. So I kind of knew what to expect on the negative end and what to expect on the positive end. I loved how welcoming and friendly all the devs were.
Yeah.
Found a newfound respect for indie games. I feel like I'm not on the level yet, but I'm like, oh, Laceya, now I know totally what you're talking about. Like, I'm loving it. Absolutely, I'm like, I need to get more into this type of, the indie games, and really support that because it's just like they really pour their heart and soul into it.
They're the
And
future.
yeah, absolutely. And I just love all the variety of games. It was amazing. And just the demos, and I think that was a fantastic job. I did not think I was going to be able to play the amount of games I was able to play. And even with the amount of people that was there.
Right.
And the immediate reactions that we got back with the contacts we have was fantastic. I was just completely impressed. My first PAX, blown out of the water. I cannot wait to go to another one.
Yeah, definitely.
Lace, your final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. It's my first PAX. I got to spend it with you guys.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the massive quantities of games that I was able to get my hands on that none of you people got to see makes me feel really good. Detroit Become Human, as anybody who's watched my streams or anything knows, David Cage, my love. I'm very happy that I did get to play that. Even bigger respect for indie games, even though I've always loved them, always bought them at every chance that I could get my hands on them, especially the ones that, really stand out. Love that. It's a lot more fun to be surrounded by independent developers that are supremely passionate about their project because, man, I was feeling that energy. It's like I've gotten to interact with independent developers before, but to have so many and those mass quantities right there, that energy. So I think I just fed on that all weekend. So yeah, again, my first PAX. I got to see a lot of amazing content. I got to spend it with really great people. And yeah, it was crowded, but I still felt like it went well. And I just have to say I respect you guys because that's probably the most efficient and well-run con I've ever been to. And for the massive scale, I mean, they had their act together.
Until
keep
we
it
left.
moving, keep it clean. Lines were going. Yeah, even to get in the place was we were 45 minutes, which for 80,000 people, I think that's not too bad, So hats off to you hard workers that were there as well, because I've been to cons that had way less people that made me want to kill myself by the end of it. So GG.
And we've seen how many people they had at the end when they was trying to say, you can't go out this door.
And when it's time to go, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Never been surrounded by so many
GTFO.
red shirts in my life. And I swear I was trying to leave. I promise. I was just lost.
You got to go.
I was trying to go. I got my coat on. Just help me get to the door. That's all I needed help with.
Please.
But no, it was great. It was fantastic. We'll do again.
Well, we've all had our first experience with a con or PAX East, I guess, here in Boston, and it was a very pleasant experience. I will have to say that I do have an argument to all of the comments here because the show, as we kind of were presented, and we met these wonderful indie developers and their games and stuff like that, I feel like that the AAA titles need to take their asses elsewhere because this needs to be about the indie developers. What the show was about to begin with.
Hey,
They don't need to be. You let me continue, goddammit.
Hornet Dream is an independent developer.
They did start off that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll forgive that one game, and then the rest of you triple.
There, a lot of them are not independent. A lot of
You're
games.
talking to Xbox.
We're talking. No. What we're talking about here is, despite how you want to classify yourself as independent, a lot of them should not classify under
got so
under
many
that
money, yeah,
umbrella.
claim to be an
Okay,
independent,
we're
yeah.
talking about these hardworking guys, like the guys who did Evergate, the guys who did
Anamorphine,
Anamorphine, and
Dan and Gary.
the ones who are struggling out there to get their game noticed, while you have PlayStation and Microsoft and Nintendo come in and just say, we have booths too. Everybody is lining up to see these booths while these little independent developers have their little corner in the dark. And granted, there were people who paying attention.
Props, though. They did move it to the center, which I heard
Fair enough.
was new this year
Yeah.
for that.
Fair enough.
They put it right in the middle. To
But-
really
But
give
those
them traction.
PlayStation's booth was filled with
Always filled. Everybody was there to play the big
No,
game.
They
That's
only had one big game there.
Detroit Become Human had like 20 goddamn stations.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that was
they
one
had a
big
ton
game.
of them.
But they had
And everybody was there to look for
And
the
they had
VR.
VR station.
independent games over there too, though.
Everybody was there to play the big games. You saw the big tournaments for Fortnite and,
Because I wasn't over
World of
there, I
Warcraft
couldn't
and
talk about
whatever the hell else. I just don't feel like they belong there. I don't care what you're trying to classify them as. You're trying to find some loophole for
Blizzard and all them,
independent.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about those guys.
No,
Yeah.
this needs to be a show for the little guy. This is a show for these hardworking individuals who are trying to get their game noticed. This needs to be their show. You cannot tell me that the people who were there, this 80,000 people, these little roaches from a distance, were there to see the little guy. They just stumbled upon them and said, "Oh, I'll play this game." Bullshit. Okay, you were there for the big games. You wanted to play Detroit Become Human. You wanted to play whatever Microsoft had in their software, or Dead by Daylight. And I'm sure that's independent too. Shut up. But you know what I mean. But look where it's at now. Fortnite should not be considered independent in regards
It
to
is.
its
It's
size. I know it is, but it should not be under that
But they're
umbrella
an independent
anymore.
developer.
Follow me here.
No,
Once you hit a certain mark,
No, you're always going to be independent if
I think
you.
it's like once you have like the publishers getting involved and stuff like I don't know.
once you
they're
get once
all
you
on that though. They're
but
all
but see
that.
we're skewing
at one-
we're skewing
sometime or another.
it,
As soon as they
okay,
get
because you're
Windows.
now encompassing this entire large umbrella of what independent is. Okay, you can just claim independent all day, but you've made $50 million while this other guy over here has not made a dime.
They're kind of
Yeah, I guess-
overshadowing
Exactly.
the little guy.
Okay.
Play
Yeah.
devil's advocate. I don't think you would have drawn all those people in had it not been for
Right.
like Nintendo and PlayStation.
But then, but you would,
at least
but
some
you
of
would
them were
still
getting
have,
You
exposed
have to have
but you
those
would
guys.
still have people like us who were there for them.
For sure. 100%.
Okay.
But I feel like they were exposed to more people because of that.
But
I
listen,
get what you're saying though.
we-
because
Yeah.
trust me, I'm
we
all
heard
in.
them.
I think indies
We
need
heard
their
them
own
say
cons
that.
all day long, every day.
During that independent showcase, that was one of the things that every one of them said. We don't know how to get our game out there. That's what those guys help us do. Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, they all
But
help them get out
I
there.
think to your point, maybe just make it a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Make sure the programming is enforcing more maybe at the top that, hey, there's some of these really
Right.
fantastic games that you might have missed. Yeah, once you've got PlayStation, put the really nice ones by PlayStation. Put the really big indies by Nintendo. So it's forcing you to go past all
I
of
guess-
these things
Yeah.
as you're on your way.
I guess where my
Bigger and
arguments,
bigger.
I guess where my arguments really coming from is the size of the crowd, because I feel like not everybody there is for the right reason. Therefore, the big games that they think that are going to be, equivalent to something like you'd see at E3. We're not getting E3 announcements at PAX East.
We ain't getting E3 numbers either, though.
No, but what I'm saying is that they think, this because we saw so many people there,
Yeah.
and you can just look at them and say you're not here for anything but just to say you've been at the damn show.
Right.
I showed up here.
I
What
walk
did
in
you
and
come
walk
here
out.
to see? What did you come here to see? I got to see that Dead by Daylight. Motherfucker, that's been out for a while.
Yeah.
You can go play that right now. What are you doing here? You're crowding up the floor. I'm sorry. It's just one of those aggravations when I'm seeing these people. What are you here for? For bragging rights? For whatever? Maybe I'm just going off on a tangent, just thinking about it this the wrong way. But I just feel like it's they're not getting the focus they deserve.
I mean, you're right. Like,
I understand what you're saying. Like, maybe they should showcase
They
the small
are
guys
the ones
more.
who need the bigger
With
booths.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Blizzard
Well, I
shouldn't have
think
been there.
maybe is it the same way with these cons where like these? I think these poor guys still gotta pay for their booth. I could be wrong. I don't know how PAX works, but I know like TwitchCon that like the indie guys have to.
But this was supposed this showcase was supposed to be for indie developers. That's what
And
PAX has always been about. So
pretty
why
much
not
seen that, though.
put these guys up on a pedestal, the little guy, and say these are guys who are developing a game. Really pay attention to them. There are going to be other things here, but really kind of focus on them just for a moment, at least, please. Give them a look.
What about Supergiant Games?
What about them?
They've made a lot of money.
And again, we're going right through semantics here, okay?
Yeah.
When we're talking about money made and stuff like
just
that, I
think
feel like
you
there's
are
a
right, though.
line to be
AAA
crossed.
A AAA, like, if that's all you're showing, like Blizzard did all weekend, I don't remember seeing them show anything but
To
Warcraft.
be fair, I didn't even know Blizzard was there until today when I was going to look for another indie game that the creators of Coma said they had back there.
Yeah, they had they had that whole front side.
The whole time.
They had that whole front side. Blizzard had
Well-
Warcraft and there and there.
All right, well, I got my tangent out of the way. I'm just saying, I felt like
Hey guys, go and really look through those games. Go
Yeah,
look at
you
those
should.
games.
If you're just going there to see AAA, you're missing the whole beauty of that place.
Exactly.
yeah, and that to me is what aggravated me about so many people that I saw there, is I don't feel like they understood what this should be
Yeah.
for me. And, you know, that's my opinion. Anybody's got anything else to say, you can direct it to Super Mega Crash on Twitter. So
Follow the Twitter.
that's all I'm saying. But that has been our full coverage of PAX for the last 3 days. This was a very extended show, matter of fact.
My feet hurt.
We are exhausted. We are tired.
You twisted your ankle.
I did twist my ankle, but it was for an epic reason.
Yeah.
And
It was very epic.
Very epic.
I think
Again, keep an eye on the Twitter. You might see how epic it was.
He had to hit that question mark block.
that's right. It was okay. And again, follow us on Super Mega Crash on Twitter. All these people will be tagged on the show. Hopefully, I will make sure to make sure that they are tagged so they can follow us and you can follow them. Make sure you're following them because I did. And you can check out their awesome games that we've talked about all weekend long. As you can hear, I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
Do you still love me?
I don't know. You argued with me quite a bit right now
I know.
because you're defending some.
Bedtimes.
Yeah, fair enough.
Cranky pants.
Anyway, I have been Stephen White.
I get to say my name? I have been Todd Stark.
You know how this works, goddammit.
Wicked Beth.
And Laceya Finley.
Join us again, Super Mega Crash siblings, when we return on April 23rd. But until then, game on. Game on.